Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Sign in Naruto. Make you stronger, not let you destroy the ninja world. Chapter 1. Konaha's 43rd year, Winter. At the frontline medical center of the Kingdom of Wind, a young man with silver hair and blue eyes was counting down with anticipation. 3, 2, 1. A mechanical voice sounded in his mind. The God-level sign-in system has been awakened successfully. Synchronizing current world data. Synchronization successful. Start binding. Binding succeeded. A light screen with various information suddenly appeared in front of the young man. The corner of his mouth raised slightly. It's been 3 years, but it's finally here. The young man's name is Nora Hazama. Came to this world 3 years ago. Is an orphan. The system came with him, but it would take 3 years for it to awaken. During this period, because of his talent as a medical ninja, he was specially recruited into the medical school and became Tsunade's student. But because of this, he was coveted by Danzo. Fortunately, the third Hokage admired him very much, coupled with Tsunade's protection, and his timely invitation to come to the front line to save people. This prevented Danzo from having the chance to attack him. Now that the system is awakening, it is natural to take this opportunity to become stronger. Only in this way can we not be afraid of any threats from Danzo, the old Yinbi. Let's see what changes the system can bring to me. God-level sign-in system. As the name suggests, you can get rewards by signing in. Rewards include but are not limited to blood succession limits, ninja genjutsu, immortal techniques, ninja tools, medicines, etc. Sign in once a day. You need to go to the designated location to sign in. If the specified time is exceeded, the sign-in will be deemed to have failed. The rewards you receive also vary depending on where you sign in. Host: Noragama. Age: 13. Ninja combat power: Jonin. Chakra amount: 15. Normal Jonin 5. Medical ninjutsu: Palm Immortal Creation, Palm Immortal Destruction, Palm Immortal Technique. Title: Konaha Medical Genius, awarded by the Sand Ninjas for repeatedly defeating Sand Ninja poison attacks and greatly reducing one's own casualties. Ding. The novice gift package has been sent. Host, please pay attention to check it. Click on the leaves. Shuriken Kunai, Explosion Talisman, Steel Wire 10. Healing, Stamina Food Pills 5. Ninja Tool Skills. Shuriken Technique, through the seal. The throwing speed of the shuriken is increased, making the enemy unable to react in time. Swordsmanship Scroll Willow Leaf Dance 1. Ninjutsu Shadow Clone Scroll. Yi Jian noticed. There is also a line of small words below these 3 skill scrolls. System benefits. Touch the scroll and learn skills instantly. Looking at this line of words, Yi Jian's heart couldn't help but beat faster and faster. Meaning, as long as he holds the scroll, he can learn these 3 skills immediately. He tried it immediately. In an instant, a huge amount of power surged into his mind. He felt as if he had suddenly used this technique countless times, almost becoming instinctive. 3 times in a row, all 3 scrolls have disappeared. And Yi Jian felt that he suddenly knew how to fight. A powerful feeling couldn't help but surge into my heart. The sign-in begins. Please go to the medical center to sign in, the host will take 1 minute. After hearing this, he immediately went to the medical clinic next door. Sign in successfully. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the incomplete immortal human body. Looking at the rewards for signing in, Yi Jian couldn't help but be pleasantly surprised. Immortal body, even if it is incomplete, it is still a huge treasure to him now. I just felt a surge of heat rushing through me. Immediately afterwards, all the limbs and bones were changing. This is a transformation that goes deep into the soul. The body is constantly being enriched and strength is constantly emerging. Each cell possesses unimaginable power. The chakra that was not abundant at first suddenly reached an unimaginable level. I wonder how much your body has been enhanced. Open the Properties panel. Host: Noragama. Age: 13. Ninja combat power: Chunin. Chunin, Special Jonin, Elite Jonin, Shadow, Strong Shadow, Super Shadow, 6 paths. Chakra amount: 35. Normal Jonin 5. Items: Shuriken 10, Kunai 10, Explosive Talisman 10, Steel Wire 10, Healing 5, Physical Weapon Pills 5. Medical Ninjutsu: Palm Immortal Creation, Palm Immortal Destruction, Palm Immortal Technique. Ninjutsu. Shuriken technique, instant shuriken technique, shadow clone technique. Swordsmanship. Willow leaf dance. Physique. Incomplete immortal body. Title. Konaha Medical Genius, awarded by the Sand Ninjas for repeatedly defeating Sand Ninja poison attacks and greatly reducing one's own casualties. As expected of the system, it is really powerful. A few minutes ago, he had been a weak genin. And now, he is enough to rival a chunin. Finally, we have taken the first step to becoming stronger. As soon as he walked out of the room and was about to get some air, a kunai emitting a faint light suddenly shot out. His hair stood on end and he ducked away. Then I saw a group of sand ninja coming in unexpectedly. Hiss. He was so shocked that he immediately took out a flare and issued a warning without thinking. Even the sand ninja had no time to stop it. Moment. The guards near the medical center immediately joined the fight. You fool. Seeing that his raid plan was directly destroyed by Yijien. The leader of Sunagakur was furious, pointed at Habarama and shouted, "Kill him." Then he issued an order. "Quick victory, kill all the medical ninjas for me." A group of sand ninjas immediately took orders and dispersed to assassinate him. Little devil, die. There was even a sand ninja, rushing towards Yijien like a wild beast. With one strike of the knife, Yijien's life will be taken away. Cha. Yijien, whose head he chopped off, turned into a piece of substitute wood. What? The sand ninja was horrified and quickly looked for Yijien's figure. PFF'd. But the next moment, he was stabbed through the chest by a hand. You are too weak. The first time he killed someone, Yijien found that there was not much discomfort. And the killing technique is the palm immortal destruction he uses to save people. How is this possible? The surrounding sand ninjas were shocked. You fool, die for me. A short sand ninja shouted angrily at the seal, wind release piercing the sky jade. A penetrating wind bomb flew out at such a speed that Yijien could not react at all. Puff. Yijien's body was penetrated directly. Ha ha ha, I know it's awesome. But in the next moment, Yijien suddenly turned into a piece of wood again. Another substitute technique. How is this possible? The short sand ninja was shocked and quickly looked for signs of Habarama. Whoosh. There was a sound behind him, and he immediately turned around, only to see a shuriken thrown by Yijien. HMPH, just a shuriken. Before he could finish speaking, Yijien started to form seals, ninja technique, shunshuriken technique. The shuriken that had already arrived in front of him suddenly accelerated violently, completely caught off guard. No, the sand ninja screamed in shock, but couldn't dodge at all. Only a few popping sounds were heard, along with splashes of blood. Another sand ninja fell down with a look of unwillingness. Quote question mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Yijien's record of killing 2 people in a row instantly shocked the entire battlefield. Be it Konaha's medical ninjas or the escort ninjas. They all looked at Yijien in shock. Those are 2 chunin. Kill it if you say it. But while they were shocked, another shadow clone appeared in Yijien. One uses swordsmanship like willow leaves. One fires back a shuriken that suddenly accelerates. 3 times, 5 times and 2 times, another sand ninja was killed. 3 kills in just 2 minutes. Kill him. The Jonin leading the team finally reacted and couldn't help but yelled. Suddenly, a group of sand ninjas are attacking. Yijien's scalp instantly went numb. Hey hey hey. It's not good to bully the few with more people. And the Jonin also rushed over. Do you have any strong demeanor? The art of turning the heart. At this moment, a calm man's voice sounded, and the body of the Jonin who rushed towards him suddenly fell heavily to the ground. Shadow binding technique. Another voice sounded, and the other sand ninjas who landed on the ground were instantly controlled. The technique of hyper-doubling. A giant suddenly appeared and slapped down a palm, suppressing the violent wind and waves. Just a palm. He directly destroyed all the sand ninjas that came towards him. The wind and waves were so violent that Yijien couldn't even open his eyes. But the other sand ninjas saw clearly who was coming. Pig deer butterfly. The Arisa ninja exclaimed, "Get out quickly." But they were greeted by an oncoming barrage of shuriken, kunai and explosive charms. What? No, this is definitely a spectacular scene. Human life is like grass, fading away quickly. In the end, no one of the attacking sand ninja escaped. And this time, Yi Jian couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Of course, looking at the mountains of corpses and seas of blood on the ground, I still felt a little uncomfortable in my stomach. Whether it was the pungent and disgusting smell of blood or the hideous death of these ninjas, the senses were completely different from killing a person alone. However, he adapted quickly. He will definitely experience many more scenes like this in the future. If he doesn't adapt, he will die. Seeing that Yi Jian had adapted so quickly, Nara Shikaku also nodded in approval. After all, Shindao is someone who has saved countless people on the front line and seen bloody scenes. Not like him. After he killed someone for the first time, he felt like vomiting when he saw something red, and it took him several days to get used to it. Lord Luju, thank you very much. Looking at Nara Shikaku walking towards him, Habarama respectfully thanked him. Fine, Nara Shikaku said in approval, I didn't expect you to have such tyrannical strength. After all, you are Tsunade-sama's student. From Nara Shikaku's point of view, it was normal for Tsunade to teach Hazama some ninjutsu for self-defense. After all, the front line is not safe. Oh, by the way, come with me, Master Jiraiya is looking for you. Heard. Habarama nodded and followed Nara Shikaku. Command the battalion. Master Jiraiya, are you looking for me? Yi Jian asked respectfully. I heard that you just killed 3 Chunin. Yes, Yi Jian knew that he couldn't hide this from Jiraiya and admitted it frankly. Looking at your battle just now, do you want to inherit Tsunade's will and become a combat medical ninja like Tsunade? Yes, Yi Jian answered seriously. Whether or not you inherit your will doesn't conflict with your becoming stronger, so it doesn't matter if you accept it. I guess everyone else thinks so too. Hearing these words, Jiraiya sighed. When you came to the front line, the old man specially told me not to let you take any risks. With you here, our casualty rate has been controlled at a very low level. If something goes wrong with you, the old man will probably tear me apart. As soon as these words came out, Yi Jian's heart suddenly rose. If you can't go to the battlefield, how can you quickly become stronger and fight against Danzo, the old Yinbi? Jiraiya listened and continued, but you have even learned the shadow clone. Obviously I can't stop your determination. Rather than letting you sneak into the battlefield, why not let me take on this responsibility? Looking at Yi Jian's nervous face, he couldn't help but feel a little helpless. I really don't know what you are thinking. Others want to stay at the rear to keep safe, but it would be better for you to rush to the front line to fight. Immediately, his face straightened and he said, you can also want to fight on the front line, but you must prove to me that you have that ability. As soon as these words came out, Yi Jian was overjoyed and said, Jiraiya-sama, please give me your instructions. Jiraiya immediately said, according to the information from our intelligence personnel, in one day, a Sunagaku transport team will pass through the Iron Gate Bridge 50 kilometers away. In this mission, as long as you kill 5 Chunin-level enemies, I will admit that you have the ability to go to the battlefield. Yi Jian immediately replied, it's a deal. Jiraiya laughed when he heard this, you're very confident, kid. He immediately handed Yi Jian a scroll, this is your new identity and mission details. It doesn't matter if you can't complete it. No one will laugh at you if you come back alive. Hearing this, Yi Jian couldn't help but take a deep breath and said firmly, I will definitely complete the task. Failure does not exist. When he returned to the medical center, he immediately caused a sensation. Mr. Yi Jian, I didn't expect you to hide something. Yeah, he killed 3 Chunin in one go. He's too strong. Yi Jian said modestly, no prizes, no prizes. To be honest, I'm scared. Look, my hands are still shaking. As he spoke, he stretched out his hand that was pretending to be trembling, and there was still some cold sweat on it that showed good acting skills. Even if it's like this, it's pretty awesome. After all, those are 3 Chunin. All the medical ninjas were amazed. Okay, let's go. After hearing these words, everyone immediately dispersed, but they couldn't help but worship Yi Jian even more. Shadow clone technique. Return to your residence and create a shadow clone to go on duty at the medical clinic. The main body immediately opened the mission scroll and pondered it carefully. The stakes are high and must be treated with caution. In the blink of an eye, it was noon the next day. Yi Jian puts on a mask and takes on a different look. When we arrived at the gathering place, several people had already arrived. But looking at these people in front of him, Yi couldn't help but be surprised. Shiranui Genma, not quite the same. Mountain Castle Aoba. Ebisu, and the lonely silver-haired young man in front of him, Hitaki Kakashi. Their strength is basically at the Chunin level. And when he was looking at everyone else was also looking at his new face. Shiranui Genma, what is your name? At this time, Shiranui Genma came over to talk. Yi replied, Chinkang. Then, Kakashi, who was holding his chest in front of him, glanced at him and introduced himself, Kakashi. He said coldly, I hope you won't hold us back. I don't like teaming up with a loser. It's best if the loser is dead. Yi hummed and smiled, looked at Kakashi and said, you will know after the mission begins. I hope you will not be surprised then. He understood why Kakashi was so cold. His father, Hitaki Tsukumo, had just committed suicide after his mission failed to save his companions. From that moment on, his ninja principles became mission first. But understanding is understanding, which does not mean that he can remain calm if he is targeted. Kakashi snorted coldly, I'll wait. Just at this time, two figures appeared. Two Jonin, Baiyun Yeshin, Sarutobi Yoshitaro. After the two of them reported their names, Baiyun Yeshin said coldly, Chikura, Ebisu, and Shiranui Genma, the three of you will join me. Sarutobi Kitaro continued. Kakashi Hitaki, Aoba Yamashiro, and Ashido, you will be on my team. After being divided into groups, Baiyun Yeshin glanced at everyone and said, you should all know the content of the mission. This mission can only be successful, do you understand? Everyone nodded. The sign-in begins. Please go to Jonin Baiyun Yeshin to sign in for 30 seconds. Listening to the system's outrageous request, Yi couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth, but he had no choice but to comply. In order to become stronger, I endured it. Then, everyone looked at Yi suddenly walking up to Baiyun Yeshin, looking a little embarrassed. Everyone immediately looked like they were watching a good show. Is Yi trying to escape from the battlefield? Signing in successfully. Congratulations to the host for receiving 1 Junin Combat Experience Pill, 1D level ninjutsu, holding technique, scroll, and 1 ordinary sword. But as soon as he signed in, Baiyun Yeshin looked at him with a cold face. What? Are you planning to submit a request to withdraw from the mission because you are afraid? If so, hurry up, we don't need cowards. Kakashi snorted immediately, his eyes becoming even more contemptuous. Yi pretended not to hear and replied to Baiyun Yeshin, no. Captain. I just want to feel your strong aura, Captain, and relax. This will be more conducive to the completion of the mission. Hearing these words, Shiranui Genma and others had strange expressions on their faces. Isn't this excuse a bit lame? Baiyun Yeshin stared at Yi for a while, and then said coldly, if you want to relax next time, remember to explain it in advance. Because this reason does sound ridiculous. Set off. Yi immediately caught up with the team and kept pace with him. Yamashiro Aoba couldn't help but sigh and felt heavy. With such a burden, can they really complete their mission? Iron Gate Bridge. Listen, the plan is to destroy the cliff where the Iron Gate Bridge is located and use falling rocks to destroy the Iron Gate Bridge. When the Sand Ninja was panicking, we used the terrain to release kunai, causing the first blow. After the effective forces are eliminated, it will be a close-range battle. Our team will be responsible for containment, and Sarutobi Kitaro's team will deal with the main force. Any questions? Everyone shook their heads, and Baiyun Yeshin immediately told everyone to hide. When we fight later, I will contain the stronger ninja, and you can deal with the less powerful ones. Don't hold back, please. Shiranui Genma came closer and spoke sincerely. I'm so numb. Hearing what Shiranui Genjian said, Yi was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. I always think he is a drag, does he look that weak? But looking at Shiranui Genma's sincere look, he endured it. At worst, he can prove himself later in the battle. Learn the body holding technique. Yi entered the system and clicked on the body holding technique. In just 1 minute, the body holding technique became as proficient as instinct. He swallowed the Jonin Combat Experience Pill again. Aha, but this one is not as peaceful as the scroll. He felt like his head was going to explode. What happened to you? Shiranui Genma immediately noticed his abnormality, frowned slightly and said, even if you are scared now, it is too late to withdraw. He felt that Yi Jian made such a move just because he was afraid. Hearing this, Yi Jian said helplessly, "You're overthinking it. It's just a temporary discomfort." Is that so? Shiranui Genma didn't believe it. Yi Jian didn't bother to explain to him, he would find out later when he showed off his skills. And at this moment, in Yi Jian's mind, countless knowledge is being digested and received by Yi Jian. The Jonin experience is indeed impressive. Yi Jian admired in his heart. My current self is at least twice as strong as my previous self. 2 hours later, coming, Baiyun Yeshin's sudden shout made Yi Jian and the other two people immediately alert. In sight, a group of sand ninja came escorting supplies. 10, 20, 32 people. Shiranui Genma's voice was full of horror. What's the situation? Why are there 6 more people? The information clearly stated that there were 26 people. There won't be any variables. Even so, the mission must be completed. Baiyun Yeshin said in a deep voice. There are only 2 Jonin, the situation is not that bad for us. Yi Jian said after observing. This actually made Baiyun Yeshin look at him with admiration. Apart from the 2 Jonins, he and Kakashi were the only ones who looked normal. Regardless of his strength, his character is very good. But there's no time to worry about that now. In sight, the Suna ninja sent out a reconnaissance team. After confirming that there was no abnormality in the Iron Gate Bridge, the brigade continued to move forward. Prepare, both captains said lowly at the same time. Chu Dun Yansu collapse. As Kakashi activated his ninjutsu, the cliff connecting the Iron Gate Bridge suddenly collapsed with a rumble. Quite a few sand ninjas had no time to react and were buried under the pile of rocks. I didn't expect to be ambushed suddenly. Asshole. Suna ninja couldn't help shouting angrily as the other dodges went out, but what greeted them was a sea of kunai and shurikens. Puff puff. Just like dumplings, another piece of sand nin fell down. Kill. Upon seeing this, Shirayan Hayama and Sarutobi Kataro issued orders at the same time. The 2 of them took over 2 Jonin. The rest is to follow the plan, with one team to contain and the other to deal with the main force. Konaha ninja. The enemy was extremely jealous when they met, and the remaining 18 sand ninjas immediately rushed over. Chenkora, what are you doing? Those enemies are all powerful enemies. Shiranui Genma couldn't help but exclaimed when he saw Hazama rushing directly towards several powerful Chunin. But the next moment, his eyes widened, because he actually saw a shadow clone formed in Yi Jian. What's the situation? He was stunned. That's a shadow clone. Can a genin learn this kind of skill? Here among the leaves, the brat is arrogant. Seeing Yi Jian rushing towards the 3 of him alone, Jia Zhilang was immediately angered. Wind escape, the art of wind cutting. He quickly formed a seal and released a wind blade, which was extremely fast. But Yi Jian's figure dodged in a whoosh, and when he reappeared, he was right in front of him. Holding a long knife in his hand, he slashed hard. What a powerful force! Jia Zhilang's expression changed, and the 2 sand ninjas around him immediately took action when they saw this. Die, kid. But at this moment, Yi Jianying's clone quickly formed a seal, fixing technique. The 2 sand ninjas were immediately horrified. I can't move. This shocked Jia Zhilang, but the power in Yi Jian's hand suddenly increased sharply, and he was forced to retreat. Willow leaf dance. Yi Jian's figure surged forward, but became extremely smooth, floating past Jia Zhilang and the others like fluttering willow leaves. Puff puff. The next moment, blood spurted out from the necks of the 3 of them. Jia Zhilang and the other 3 fell down with unwilling expressions on their faces. Hiss. Seeing this scene, both Konaha ninja and Suna ninja looked at Hajime in shock. What's the situation? Those are 3 Chunin, not 3 pigs. Just killed. That rascal. Even Kakashi couldn't help but feel horrified when he saw this scene. Even he couldn't kill 3 Chunin in an instant. He admitted that he had made a mistake. That guy is actually so powerful. The people in Yamashiro Aoba were extremely shocked. Such a strong person, they actually blindly thought that the other party would hold them back. Who is holding you back? Shiranui Genma was even more stunned on the spot. He actually said he wanted to take care of Yi Jian just now. But Yi Jian is so powerful, who takes care of whom? How about it? Now I believe I'm not here to hold you back. Yi Jian ducked to the side of Shiranui Genma and said jokingly. Okay, Shiranui Genma really believed it. Kakashi, I have killed 3 enemies. Now, you are holding me back. He shouted to Kakashi not far away. TCH, got it. Kakashi responded with annoyance and depression. If he had known that Yi Jian was so powerful, he would not have spoken rudely. Ha ha ha, good. I'm just saying, how could Lord Jiraiya arrange for a coward to participate in the mission? Boy, can you continue? As soon as these words came out, everyone in Konoha couldn't help but look at Hajime in surprise. It was actually arranged by Jiraiya. No wonder it's so strong. Why not? Yi Jian responded loudly, took out a physical recovery pill from the system and took it. He had quickly dispatched 3 sand ninjas just now, which looked majestic, but actually almost drained him of his chakra. He rushed towards the new enemy again. Okay, this is my good son of Konoha. Sarutobi Kotaro couldn't help but laugh again when he saw this, but his opponent Sunagaku Jonin had a gloomy look on his face. Konoha, there are always so many geniuses. He directly ordered, concentrate your strength and kill the silver-haired brat first. Immediately, all the sand ninjas headed towards Kakashi and Habarama. Kakashi, he has something to say MMP. Please. He is Hitaki Kakashi. Does he have anything to do with your target? Ha ha ha, I'm so sorry, Kakashi. Seeing this, Yi Jian couldn't help but laugh. In that case, let's kill these enemies together. He has proven his ability. Next, it's time to work as a team with everyone. How could he alone deal with so many enemies in front of him? Silver-haired brat, stop being so arrogant. The sand ninjas were furious. Then add me. And I. Me too. Shiranui Xuanjian and the same person, Aoba from the mountain city also came. Chenkora, just fight. The strength Yi Jian showed just now has been recognized by all of them. Okay, thank you everyone. Yi Jian laughed and immediately burst out with great momentum, then I'll do it. His shadow clone immediately formed a seal and was about to release the body-holding technique again. The sand ninjas immediately dispersed. I won't fall for your trick a second time. But, Shunshuriken, I saw him actually throwing a shuriken and quickly forming a seal. The already fast shuriken suddenly became as unavoidable as a phantom. Ah, the sand ninjas were literally vomiting blood. How come this guy always manages to surprise them? Didn't you agree to use the shadow clone? What the hell is Shun Shuriken Jutsu? Puff puff. Suddenly, many sand ninjas screamed and fell to the ground. Kakashi and others were shocked again. This killing speed is a bit too scary. While they were in shock, Yi Jian was rapidly finishing his blows. Quickly, he surpassed the record of the 5 Chunin that Jiraiya had predetermined for him. Now, I can finally practice in the battlefield and become stronger. It's not far away to escape the fate of being dominated by Danzo. Seeing that the number of companions around him suddenly decreased by 7 or 8. The other sand ninjas immediately targeted Yi Jian and rushed towards him. Fixing technique. However, Yi Jian's shadow clone suddenly appeared and released ninjutsu on them. Not good. The sand ninjas were unexpected. Kill. Kakashi rushed over without hesitation. On. Shiranui Genma also reacted immediately. A one-sided killing begins. You fool, I won't let you go even if I'm a ghost. The Jonin of Sand Hidden Village saw this scene and his eyes were split. He stared hard at Yi Jian's face, as if he wanted to remember him firmly. Don't worry, you won't have that chance. After hearing what the Jonin said, Yi Jian grinned. His current strength is already considered very good among Chunin. It won't take long to reach the Junin level. By then, we still don't know who killed whom. Fire escape, the art of biscuit burning. After destroying the supplies with a similar strike of fire escape, the mission was basically over. Withdraw. Seeing this, the 2 Sunagaku Junin showed no regrets and fled quickly. Baiyun Yeshin stopped chasing. One is because the personnel consumption is too high. Second, there is no need to add extraneous matters. What if we are surrounded by Suna Ninja during the pursuit? This is on Suna Ninja territory. We also withdraw. Baiyun Yeshin immediately issued a retreat order. It's the same thing. Mountain City Green Leaf. Hitaki Kakashi. Ebisu. On the way back, several people introduced themselves to Yi Jian one after another. Formal introduction. My name is Chikura. Yi Jian responded with a smile. He said in his heart, "Sure enough, only if you have strength, others will respect you." It was already a few hours before we returned to Konaha's position. It seems that even if I want to disagree, I can only agree to you joining the battlefield. Looking at his achievements, Jiraiya couldn't help but shook his head. 9 Chunin. You boy worked really hard to complete the mission. He took a deep breath and said, now that you have proven yourself, then from now on you can use the identity of Chankora to participate in the war. Hearing this, Yi Jian breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you, Jiraiya-sama. Looking at his leaving figure, Jiraiya couldn't help but murmured, old man, another genius has appeared in our Konaha village. He could already imagine how happy the third Hokage would be after seeing Yi Jian's achievements. At the beginning, the third Hokage valued Habarama's medical ability. Therefore, he readily agreed to his going to the front line for training, and asked him to always send someone to secretly protect him. And now, Yi Jian has lived up to the expectations of the third Hokage. Even if the medical level is superb, the combat power is also so fierce. Medical clinic. Okay, there's nothing wrong with the injury. You can perform your mission normally tomorrow. Closing the medical record page, Yi Jian looked at the white clouds and mountains in front of him. Why do I feel that you have a similar aura to one of my subordinates? Your Excellency Yi Jian. As soon as Baiyun Yeshin said these words, Yi Jian secretly thought in his heart that Jonin is really powerful, and then he smiled and said, really? If I have time, I really want to meet this subordinate of yours. After that, he went to deal with the other injured. The next day, the sign-in begins. Please go to Jiraiya's camp and sign in for 1 minute. After spending a whole night, he digested and absorbed the Jonin experience rewarded by the system and the combat experience. Yi Jian's check-in also came again. Of course. The guards of the camp stopped him as usual. If you want to go in, you will have to be searched and you will need proof of identity. But Yi Jian said that he just came here for a walk. Sign in successfully. Congratulations to the host for receiving 5 blind ninjutsu boxes, 1 chakra test paper, and 1 special Junin chakra. Looking at the reward, Yi Jian thought to himself, I don't know how much my strength will grow this time. Of course, it is also a happy thing to know the properties of your own chakra. Just when he was about to leave, the tent was suddenly pushed open, and Jiraiya appeared in front of Yi Jian. The majestic chakra aura was as majestic as the violent waves, making Yi Jian feel a suffocating feeling of despair. Hey, your boy is here. That's just right, I don't need to ask someone to find you. Jiraiya greeted Yi Jian, I have a favor here, and you are the only one who can help me now. Yi Jian was also curious when he heard this, I don't know what it is. Jiraiya immediately asked Su Yang to come in and talk. Just went in. Yi Jian saw an unruly sand ninja being controlled aside. Jiraiya, who saw him, pointed at this Suna ninja and said seriously, this person has important Suna ninja information. But he had already taken neurological poison when he was captured. The antidote prepared by Konaha doesn't work either. I couldn't get him to speak even though I tried my best, and the presence of neurotoxin also made it impossible to detect Hai's thoughts. But the information on him is really rare. Once we get it, we can severely damage the Suna ninja. Your boy has diffused the poisonous attacks of Suna ninja many times, and your detoxification level is not inferior to that of Tsunade. Now only you can try it. Heard, Yi Jian couldn't help but also became interested. It's interesting. Even the antidote prepared by Tsunade-sama doesn't work. Then I'd like to see what's the mystery in it. But after hearing these words, the sand ninja suddenly smiled arrogantly. Ha ha ha, where did this brat come from who doesn't know his own abilities? Looking at Yi Jian walking towards him, he said disdainfully, what I am taking is Chiyo-sama's latest proud work. She said that even she can't undo this poison herself. Maybe Tsunade from your village can make the poison, but by the time she does it, my brain will have been destroyed by the poison. You can't get any information at all. Seeing that everyone was shocked, the sand ninja became even more proud. You don't know, this poison will make me completely brain dead within 3 hours. And now it's been 2 hours and 45 minutes since I took the poison. Hey, even gods can't save me now, let alone a brat like you. This situation was indeed unexpected by Jiraiya. Who would have thought that the effect of the medicine would be so short? Cha. Finished. Yi Jian stretched out his hand calmly, then I'll take action. Making an antidote. There is no need for that at all. All Jiraiya wanted was the information in this sand ninja's head. In this case, just keep a complete head. He stretched out his hand and felt the spread of the poison in detail. Everything begins. Then, what? Along with the green light emerging from Yi Jian's hand, the sand ninja felt as if countless hands were tearing his brain apart. The severe pain immediately made him let out the most miserable wailing sound. Even Jiraiya and Nara Shikaku couldn't help but shudder. Just looking at the twisted face of this sand ninja, you can tell how painful it is. But Yi Jian was actually unmoved by this. What a monster! Wisps of toxins were stripped out from the leaves. The sand ninja suddenly panicked, because the reaction to the poisoning gradually disappeared. Very surprised, Yi Jian gave a big smile. I didn't expect there was such a solution. But I remember you just said that even Chio can't undo this poison. The sand ninja clearly felt Yi Jian's evil intentions, and asked in a panic, what do you want to do? Yi Jian smiled brightly. Of course I will study it and then give it to you sand ninjas to try it out. But don't worry, I will speed up the time of death. 1 hour. No, half an hour. The sand ninja suddenly became anxious. No, you can't do that. Jiraiya and Nara Shikaku couldn't help but take a few steps back. This guy Yi Jian is simply a devil. Fine, this devil is from their side. Yi Jian curled his lips when he heard this. Tisk, it's boring. I can't help but laugh. This method of directly stripping away toxins is called aphrodisiac extraction. More than 10 years later, a certain Haruno Sakura will also use it. It's not something rare, but there are indeed very few people who can operate it with such precision. Who are you? The sand ninja stared at Hajime. Even Chio-sama can't be so skilled in using this method to remove poison. When did the ninja world have such a powerful medical ninja like you? Hearing this, Yi Jian couldn't help rolling his eyes and said, is it possible that you are too ignorant and arrogant? To deal with this kind of poison, does Tsunade-sama need to take action? Your Chio really thinks highly of herself. After hearing what Yi Jian said, Jiraiya couldn't help but give him a thumbs up. He loves to hear that. No, you are definitely not an ordinary medical ninja. With such sophisticated detoxification techniques, you are the Konaha medical genius Noragama. The sand ninja suddenly recognized Yi Jian and couldn't help but exclaimed. It seems you are not too stupid. Unfortunately, you will be useless soon. He used chakra to block the main entrance and exit of Suna Ninja's heart, and then said, Jiraiya-sama, you can start detecting intelligence. After 3 to 10 minutes, the toxins in his body will continue to flow up, and by then, he will be able to die as he wishes. Jiraiya nodded when he heard the words, but couldn't help but take a breath in his heart. This guy, how could he decide a person's life or death so casually? Sure enough, finding you is the right choice. Jiraiya was full of praise, and Habarama just smiled and left. If he goes to the battlefield in the future, he will have to find someone to protect him secretly. Jiraiya looked at Yi Jian's leaving figure and said, if such a talent falls, I will not let myself go. Nara Shikaku next to him thought deeply. Yejian's residence. Don't know what my chakra properties are. Taking out the test paper from the system, a burst of chakra immediately emerged from his hand. The chakra test paper immediately wrinkled and then melted. Quote ? Seeing this second reaction, Yi Jian was stunned. The wrinkled one is thunder. What happens if it melts? Is there such an attribute? System, what is my second attribute? If something goes wrong, ask the system. Positive. The system's answer was extremely brief. It will make your lightning escape more powerful. If you can possess a complete immortal body, there may be a certain probability of awakening the wood escape. Hearing this, Yi Jian couldn't help but gasp, so powerful. This is too tempting, that's wood release. But think about it and forget it. There is no abnormal amount of chakra like Senju Hashirama. Are you just playing Mudden? The art of 4 rooms and 3 living rooms is almost the same. Special Jonin chakra, absorb it. Click on the concentrated chakra. After absorption, his chakra strength and total amount of chakra will reach the special Jonin level. 3 minutes later, with Yi Jian's sound of relief, he officially entered the special Jonin level. This powerful feeling of being able to control every part of your body at will. It even made him feel like he could survive a few moves with the Jonin. I wonder what kind of surprise this ninjutsu blind box will bring me. If there are a few powerful ninjutsu in it, then his strength will definitely take another big step forward. By then, even playing against Jonin will not be impossible. I opened the first one with great anticipation. Empty. The look of anticipation on Yi Jian's face suddenly solidified. He opened a second, then a third. He thought to himself, it can't all be empty. Empty. An ordinary chakra sword. Yi Jian couldn't help but be a little speechless. After all, it's a reward from the system, isn't it? He then opened the last two in succession. Anyway, I have given up hope of getting anything good. However, Thunder Escape Thunder Strike Armor. Thunder Release Thousand Birds Blade. The last two are actually good things. Especially the Chidori Blade. For him now, it is definitely a great weapon to increase the lethality. Well, he admits he did blame the system. Study. Su Yang didn't spend too much time learning the two ninjutsu. But this complicated knowledge takes some time to digest. And at this moment, Jiraiya is here. Sora-san, it turns out that your transit supplies point is here. Very good. If that's the case, why not destroy it? Looking at the information obtained from Suna Ninja, Jiraiya seemed to have seen the upper echelons of the Suna Ninja gnashing their teeth. At the same time, the Sand Ninja Command Office. Chiyo-sama, Rasa-sama, it's not good. A mutilated Suna Ninja Chunin rushed into the camp and interrupted the senior management of Sunagakur village who were discussing tactics. What happened? Chiyo frowned and asked with some displeasure. Lord Taki has been captured. The Chunin answered with an answer that surprised even Chiyo. What? He was caught? Chiyo asked loudly, then did he take that thing? The Chunin nodded, and Chiyo immediately breathed a sigh of relief. That's good, so our tactics won't be leaked. Hearing Chiyo's words, Rasa, the fourth generation Kazekage in the future, couldn't help but worry. Grandma Chiyo, is it really impossible to remove that poison? If someone disarms us, wouldn't all our tactics be revealed? Don't forget the Konaha medical genius on the front lines of Konaha. Chiyo immediately laughed out loud after hearing this, quite confidently. Young brat Nora Hazama also wants to get rid of the toxins in my body. He may be qualified if he studies for a few more years. The only person with this qualification today is that Tsunade. But even she may not be able to find an antidote before the poison takes hold. Not to mention that she's not on the front line yet. According to the habits of the Konoha gang, as long as Taki bites him to death, even Yamanaka Haichi will not be able to find out the information while Taki is alive. So, if they can't detoxify the toxin and get no information, they can only watch Taki die and get nothing. There is absolutely no possibility of our information being leaked. Listen to this. Luo Shikai nodded, that's good. But this Noragama is also a threat, he must be eliminated. Chiyo also nodded, let him grow up and become another Tsunade. Speaking of which, Luo Sha suddenly seemed to remember something again. It seems that another genius has appeared in Konoha recently, his name is Chikura. Chiyo heard this and said, is that the kid who single-handedly defeated us at Iron Gate Bridge yesterday and lost a lot of supplies? Luo Sha nodded. Chiyo couldn't help gritting his teeth when he heard this. Konoha, there will always be some outstanding people coming out. If our Sunagakur village has as many talented people as them, why would we end up in the current situation? Now, of course, Hajime, who was far away in the Konoha camp, didn't know that he was hated. He has just finished digesting his strength. Host, Noragama. Age, 13. Ninja combat power, special Jonin. Chakra amount, 50. Normal Genin 5. Items, Kunai 10, Explosion Talisman 10, Steel Wire 10, Healing Food Pills 4, Physical Strength Pills 4. Medical Ninjutsu. Palm Immortal Creation, Palm Immortal Destruction, Palm Immortal Technique. Ninjutsu. Shuriken Technique, Instant Shuriken Technique, Shadow Clone Technique. Thunder Release. Lightning Strike Armor, Thousand Birds Blade. Swordsmanship. Willow Leaf Dance. Physique. Incomplete Immortal Body. He arrived at the back cliff of the stronghold. The combination of lightning armor and teleportation can greatly increase the speed. When the Chidori blade is combined with Willow Leaf Dance, the lethality will increase dramatically. He has no reason to refuse. Lightning armor. With a low shout, a layer of violent thunder and lightning instantly surrounded his body. A moment. It feels like cell activity is enhanced again. What a great technique. Not only can it be used as armor for defense, it can also use lightning to stimulate cells and enhance physical attributes such as strength and speed. And it should be able to attack too. As soon as his mind condensed, he saw that the thunder and lightning that was originally lingering on his body flew out in all directions in an instant. Sure enough, when I watched Naruto in my previous life, I saw the Raikage using this move. I wonder how much my speed will be enhanced by combining it with the instant body technique. The instant body technique is activated. Boom. The next moment, a large hole was created in the cliff by a ball of lightning. Ahem, it seems it's not that easy to control. Climbing out of the pit, Yi Jian shook his head and said. Boom, boom. After a short trial, Yi Jian finally got the hang of it. Shish. Next moment, Su Yong instantly appeared dozens of meters away. With another whoosh, it appeared a few meters away. Like a thunderbolt, it was too late to react. I wonder how much slower it will be compared to the flying thunder god. But combined with the Chidori blade, it is simply a murder weapon. Thinking about it this way, he took out the chakra sword from the system space. GGG. Along with the sharp sound, a layer of manic thunder and lightning also lingered on the blade. Chidori blade. A lightning escape ninjutsu that changes its nature. The nature changes to tearing and impact. I wonder how powerful it is. He looked at a boulder in the distance. Bah! The next moment, the boulder was split into two halves. It's terrifying. Looking at the scene he created, Yi Jian couldn't help but exclaimed. Although 1/10 of the chakra was lost in one fell swoop. But this destructive power is really worthy of such consumption. Even the Jonin, I'm afraid not many can stop him. Try it with Lu Yi Wu. A layer of sword intent instantly lingered around his body. In an instant, a bolt of lightning was seen floating like a willow leaf, but it also exuded a heart-stopping destructive power. Wherever I go, the cliff exploded and rubble flew. A line of words also appeared on the cliff. Very good. Now I have the confidence to deal with Jonin. Take a pill to restore physical strength. He started practicing from scratch again. All of a sudden, only the endless lightning flashing and roaring can be seen, along with the increasingly weird and unpredictable trajectory of action. The aura exuding from Yi Jian's body also became more restrained and hardened. A few hours later, TCH, did you really alarm the people in the camp? Yi Jian originally wanted to practice a few more times to make himself more proficient in these moves. Unexpectedly, a message came from the shadow clone. Someone is coming. After a few minutes, this is. The two Chunin looked at the messy scene in front of them, filled with rocks, and were speechless in surprise. It doesn't matter if the rocks are split apart, but the words on the cliff are clearly the traces caused by the change in the nature of lightning escape. The Chunin were puzzled. When did such a terrifying thunder release master appear on their front line? Nature change is an ability that only Jonin can master. Hurry back and report to Lord Jiraiya. The two of them did not dare to neglect. And on the cliff, it was clearly written, wherever the wooden leaves are flying, the fire is endless. Okay, I see, let's go. After hearing the report, Jiraiya was not surprised. This left the two Chunin completely confused. Jiraiya seemed to know this mysterious and powerful man. But why didn't they know that there was such a master on the front line? What a terrible boy, he actually mastered such a terrifying thunder escape. But it just so happens that since you have such strength, I can safely let you participate in this mission. Jiraiya looked at the character scroll on the table and whispered to himself. He knew that this mysterious strong man was probably Yi Jian. The next day, sign in successfully. Congratulations to the host for getting 5 shurikens and 2 fashionable clothes. After successfully signing into a certain female medical ninja's room, Yi Jian left quickly. He said that he definitely did not want to come here, and the system forced him to come here. Noragama, Lord Jiraiya is looking for you. Just return to my residence. An Anbu directly under Jiraiya appeared. I see. After tidying up his clothes, he walked towards Jiraiya's tent. Chankora, ha ha ha, I have to go on a mission with you again. As soon as he entered the camp, he saw Shiranui Genma saying happily. Yi Jian scanned around. Hey, there are quite a few acquaintances. Kakashi Hatake, the future, Emperor Kai, Metkai, and Jonin Shirayan Yeshin. Of course, there were many people he didn't know. There are Junin and Chunin, a total of 30 people. Yi Jian suddenly realized that this mission was definitely extraordinary. Okay, since everyone is here, I won't hold back. Jiraiya looked at everyone. According to the information we learned from Suna Ninja yesterday, Sunagakur village has a secret material base in Mount Arara, 100 miles away. It is related to an important survival issue of Sunagakur village, so. At this point, Jiraiya's face flashed with fierceness. I hope you will destroy it. He glanced at the 5 Jonin present and said, each of you will lead 5 people and destroy the enemy's camp in 5 directions. Understand? Hearing this, Baiyun Yeshin and other 5 Junin didn't hesitate at all. They knelt down on one knee and responded, understood. After hearing Jiraiya explain the mission, Yi Jian, Kakashi and others retreated together. The mission is called, MT. Arara Mission. S level. Chikura, Kakashi, this mission is not easy. Shiranui Genma said with a solemn expression. Really? Yi Jian nodded, that was the enemy's material point, and the guard strength was considerable. It's different from the last A-level mission they performed. HMPH, if you're afraid of death, it's still too late to go to Jiraiya-sama and apply for withdrawal. At this time, an evil voice came. A Chunin with short gray hair said with disdain. That's right, a bunch of brats are just joining in the fun. I really don't know what Jiraiya-sama thinks, letting such a bunch of brats hold us back. Another strong Chunin said the same thing unkindly. Young man, look down on us. We have just completed the Iron Gate Bridge mission, so we won't hold you back. Shiranui Genma retorted with some excitement. That's really amazing. I've completed a task that's like playing house, and I feel embarrassed to brag about it. The gray-haired Chunin curled his lips and said mockingly. Hearing this, Baiyun Yeshin suddenly frowned. You. Shiranui Genma was even more angry, but Yi Jian reached out to stop him. He looked at the 2 Chunin. You seem to look down on us. Heard. The 2 Chunin couldn't help but laugh, except for Hatake Kakashi, who is barely there. Aren't you a burden? Hearing this, Yi Jian suddenly laughed. Burden. He disappeared directly in place. Everyone only saw 2 lightning flashes. The next moment, the gray-haired Chunin and the strong Chunin were slammed into the wall dozens of meters away. So fast, even the Jonin who were watching the excitement on the side couldn't help but shrink their pupils. At this speed, they had no time to react. You can't even withstand a single blow from me. I wonder who is the burden. After Yi Jian appeared, he glanced at the other Chunin and asked indifferently. All the Chunin looked at each other in shock and were speechless. They were all thinking about whether they could have escaped if it had been them just now. But the answer is, simply impossible. Asshole. The gray-haired Chunin made a fool of himself in front of everyone and couldn't help but become furious. When it's time to seal. But Yi Jian appeared in front of him again, with a gleaming kunai pressed against his neck. If you were my enemy, you would be dead by now. Everyone was shocked again. Only a few Junin could barely see his traces. Okay, stop, Baiyun Yeshin scolded. The mission is about to be carried out, are you still in the mood to rebel? What do you want to do? When Yi Jian heard this, he immediately put the kunai away. The other 4 Junin also spoke and said to the Chunin, what, do you still dare to look down on others? Maybe you are a burden. This made the gray-haired Chunin and the burly Chunin blush immediately. Thanks, kid. A Junin with a beard suddenly spoke to Yi Jian, which made many people wonder. Why does the Jonin captain want to thank Habarama? That guy just showed mercy. Otherwise, when those 2 people were kicked away just now, their organs would have ruptured and died due to the violent impact. But look at these 2 people, they are just superficial injuries. His control of power has reached a very precise level. Kakashi opened his mouth to answer everyone's doubts, but he couldn't help but clenched his fists. Last time, Yi Jian is about the same strength as him. But he was already so far ahead of him. We are all companions, no offense will cause serious injury. Yi Jian said and bowed to the 5 Junin, captains, I just offended you, please forgive me. Hearing these words, the bearded Junin just laughed suddenly, what a boy, you have to control your advance and retreat. He couldn't help but said to Baiyun Yeshin, Don't tell me, I'm starting to envy you. I actually have such a powerful ninja under my command. Baiyun Yeshin didn't have much expression after hearing this. Since there is no problem, let's go. Everyone rushed out immediately. After a day, everyone arrived near the target. According to the tactical arrangement, we are responsible for the fire position in the southwest and destroy the fresh water stored there. Seize the time to rest and launch an attack based on the secret signal. Baiyun Yeshin issued an attack direction and formulated corresponding tactics. Chenkora, when did you become so strong? Resting. Shiranui Genma said in amazement, you didn't show your full strength last time, right? Yi Jian smiled, why not? This made Shiranui Genma scratch his head in frustration. If I had known you were so strong back then, I wouldn't have said stupidly that I would take care of you. Heard. Yi Jian smiled again. It's over now, why bother taking it to heart anymore? Okay, take the time to rest. Seeing this, Shiranui Genma curled his lips and went to rest. There are 110 enemies in the southwest. Enemies worth noting include 2 Jonin, 5 special Jonin, and 12 Chunin with special Jonin strength. Yi Jian couldn't help clenching his fist slightly and thought to himself, in addition, there are 100 Chunin. It is really a dangerous mission. If you are not careful, the whole army will be wiped out. Morning. This is when vigilance is at its lowest. And Yi Jian and the others' action code has arrived. Set off. The moment Baiyun Yeshin gave the order, Yejian rushed out like a flash of lightning. Also rushing out like him was Kakashi. The two of them are responsible for quickly taking down the enemies on the watchtower. Metkai and Shiranui Genma, under the leadership of Shirayan Hayama, took this opportunity to quickly take down the patrolling sand ninja. Puff puff, like lightning, it cuts off the enemy's blood vessels and trachea. The enemies didn't even have a chance to react before they all fell. What? The sand ninja in the watchtower opposite looked confused, as if a light had just passed by. Hey, Ryusuke, Kentaro, did you see just now? Before the black-skinned sand ninja finished speaking, he saw 2 people covering their necks and falling down in shock with blood on their hands. The other one suddenly had a knife stabbed out of his chest and fell down vomiting blood. Enemy. The black-skinned sand ninja reacted immediately and was about to pull the alarm bell. Not good. Kakashi had just finished dealing with the 2 sand ninjas when he saw this scene, and couldn't help but become angry and screamed. If because he was exposed, this would immediately put them all in dire straits. Then he will never forgive himself. Do you believe in light, brother? A voice sounded from behind the black-skinned sand ninja. Before he could respond, a sharp pain took over all his senses. All movement abilities are instantly annihilated, including voice. It's Yi Jian. Thank you. Seeing this scene, Kakashi breathed a sigh of relief and expressed his gratitude. It doesn't matter, it's all for the mission. Yi Jian grabbed Kakashi. It's time to support the captain and the others. Get rid of the sand ninja in the watchtower. The patrols entangled in Bayunye Mountain were like headless flies that had lost their eyes. But this only lasts 1 minute. If they are not dealt with within 1 minute, they will all be exposed. Even though they were at the foot of the mountain, the Suna ninja team on the top of the mountain wouldn't notice it at all unless they made a big noise. But once exposed, it is quite troublesome. Whoosh. Yi Jian appeared again, already in front of the patrol. Who? The patrol leader is a special Jonin. Seeing Kakashi and Yi Jian suddenly appearing in front of him, they reacted immediately after a brief pause. Kill. PFF'd. Before he could finish the word, kill, the sand ninja captain's neck was torn apart. Cha. After all, he is a special Jonin. The captain turned into a piece of sand and scattered on the ground. Sand clone. Kid, you were really fast, but I almost got hit by it. Captain Sand Ninja appeared again, but this time, you are not so lucky. But the words haven't been finished yet. A lightning blazing blade suddenly pierced his chest, and Yi Jian's voice sounded, you talk too much. Captain Sand Ninja looked back in disbelief. But he saw Yi Jian draw the knife with a calm look on his face. The leaves in front of him actually faded away like smoke. Separation. I was deceived by this low-level ninjutsu. Captain Suna Ninja fell down with a look of unwillingness. And this scene, the rest of the patrol team members were greatly shocked. Just kidding. The captain died so easily. We have no chance of winning. Without thinking, I wanted to run away. Don't let them escape, Baiyun Yeshin shouted. In Shiranui Genjian, Kakashi was preparing to attack. But someone is faster than them. Ninjutsu. Shunshuriken Jutsu. All he saw was a sharp shadow roaring out, bringing up bright blood drops. The 6 fleeing sand ninjas all fell to the ground with their eyes wide open. Yi Jian once again gave each of these sand ninjas a blow, all of which were fatal. Baiyun Yeshin expressed his approval for Yejian's meticulous approach. Immediately ordered to continue moving forward. Captain, you have already killed the enemy, why do you still do this? On the way, Metkai asked in confusion. Baiyun Yeshin replied, because we must ensure that the enemy is really dead. Otherwise, we will be the ones who die when the time comes. Kai, you must remember this. He glanced at Yi Jian and found that he showed no dissatisfaction with Metkai. I couldn't help but rate Yi Jian a little higher. Thoughtful and open-minded, he is truly an excellent ninja. A silent night is also a killing night. Yi Jian and his party also arrived at their destination, the supplies department at the top of Mount Arara. The final challenge has arrived. Looking at the camp in front of them, Yi Jian's group of people hiding in the bushes all said this in their hearts. After reconfirming the corresponding tactics and corresponding task arrangements. Fight, start again, PFF'd, PFF'd. Yi Jian crashed into the Suna ninja camp like a ghost, quietly harvesting the lives of Suna ninja along the way. It didn't attract any attention. Finally. When Hajime was about to approach the freshwater reserve, a tall Chunin noticed something was wrong. He launched a tentative attack towards Yi Jian. Hey, I thought I could complete the mission successfully. Seeing that he was discovered, Yi Jian also walked out of the darkness. Because of its excellent maneuverability. Therefore, his task is naturally to destroy freshwater reserves. Konaha ninja. When he saw Habarama, the tall Chunin looked in disbelief. He shouted sharply, Kid, how do you know this place? This is the secret place of their Sunagakur village, and no one except the senior Suna ninja knows about it. But a Konaha ninja appeared. Doesn't that mean that their information was leaked? How do you think I know? Yi Jian grinned. I didn't expect you to say it either. The tall Chunin shouted, kill you first, and then we'll find out once we capture your accomplices and ask them. After all, the tall Chunin attacked quickly, stabbing fiercely with the kunai in his hand. Die. Seeing that there was no reaction from Habarama, the tall Chunin said excitedly. Too slow. Who knows? Yi Jian suddenly raised his head and said. In the horrified gaze of the tall sand ninja, a cold light ripped open his chest. How is this possible? The tall Chunin looked at the wound on his chest in disbelief. Before he could react, his chest was pierced again. Little devil, who are you? The sand ninjas who came after hearing the noise in the distance looked at this scene and all made a sound of horror. Wind escape, wind cut technique. But this time, another sharp wind blade struck behind Yi Jian. Go fast. Yi Jian jumped to dodge, but before he landed, a whip leg quickly enlarged in front of him. Boom. Yi Jian was hit hard and flew out. But it immediately turned into a piece of wood with a bang. The green-eyed sand ninja who knocked Yi Jian away suddenly seemed to have noticed something and quickly retreated. He is indeed a special Jonin, Jins. He is truly extraordinary. Yi Jian appeared, looked at the green-eyed sand ninja Jin in front of him, and said. It seems the worst thing has happened. Jins heard that Yi Jian actually called his name directly, and his face suddenly became solemn. As expected of Konaha, you can get news from Taki's mouth. I want to know, who has the ability to remove the poison from his body, so that you can successfully obtain information. Yi Jian suddenly smiled, what a coincidence, it's me. When Jins heard this, his eyes suddenly became sharp, in that case. The next moment, there was no trace of him. Then we will never let you live again. He appeared behind Yi Jian, with a kunai in his hand wrapped in sharp wind attribute chakra. All it takes is one strike. Yi Jian will die on the spot. Shish. Yi Jian was pierced without any reaction. It became. Jins felt relieved, but felt unreasonable. He can fight all the way, so he is so weak. Really? Yi Jian's body immediately dispersed. Afterimage. Jins was shocked, and a violent threat quickly struck from behind. He blocked it without thinking. Base. Amidst the sparks flying, Jinsi actually fell backwards. Jins looked at the attacking Yi Jian with a horrified expression. What a powerful force. The kunai in his hand shattered and his entire arm was numb. Hey, you are indeed a special Jonin, Jins, awesome. Yi Jian grinned, and his body was instantly covered with a layer of thunder and lightning. Then try this again. The moment he finished speaking, the person was already in front of Jins, who was shocked again. It's so fast. PFF'd. Jins, whose chest was torn open, turned into a pile of sand and scattered on the ground. Far away, Jins appeared with a gloomy face and a blood-red wound on his chest. Kid, I admit that I underestimated you just now. King's body erupted with terrifying chakra, but then, you won't have this opportunity again. The moment the words fell, Jins rushed forward like a phantom, and at the same time quickly formed the seal, Wind Escape, Gale Wind Palm. He quickly compressed a violent wave of wind in his hands, roaring like it swept across the world. There is a heavy pressure coming down, making people feel like they are in a quagmire, and they cannot use their speed at all. It's not over yet. He also threw out several kunai. After quickly forming seals, the number increased tenfold. They were blown by the wind in all directions without any rules. Look at that green light, it's obviously poisonous. Die. Jins grinned and said, without speed, you lose any threat. Don't try to escape. Faced with this attack, even the Jonin in the village will not be able to escape unscathed. Seeing Yi Jian standing there, Jins seemed to have seen the tragic scene of his death. Is it really that powerful? Yi Jian smiled dangerously. I really want to see it. Next moment, Jinsi only saw a bolt of lightning rushing towards him, knocking all the kunai away. Then, there was a sharp pain in his chest. Impossible. Jins looked at Yi Jian, who was so close, with a face full of disbelief. Why is this little brat so powerful? Yi Jian drew his knife and retreated. Is it possible that you are too weak? Of course, you are honored to die under the Chidori blade. He turned around and looked at the other sand ninjas with a bright smile. It's your turn. Let's go together. He has just experienced so many battles, and his chakra must be consumed a lot. Seeing that even Jins died in Yi Jian's hands, although the sand ninjas rushing around were afraid, they were unwilling to retreat. Kill. Led by a Chunin in yellow clothes, a group of sand ninja immediately attacked Yi Jian. Suddenly, densely packed shurikens, kunai, and detonating charms surged towards him. Wind Escape Strong Wind Art. Wind Escape, Wind Cut Technique. Wind Release Gravel Needle, followed by a burst of wind. Such a formation should not be underestimated, and Yi Jian could only avoid the edge for the time being. He's not in good condition anymore, keep going. Seeing that Yi Jian chose to evade, the yellow-clothed Chunin immediately shouted and wanted to take advantage of the victory to pursue him. But the next moment, a bolt of lightning pierced his chest. Famous. The surrounding Chunin were horrified when they saw this, and hurriedly attacked the lightning. Cha! Willow Leaf Dance. The lightning traced a trajectory like flying willow leaves and quickly passed by the Chunin. What's the situation? All the sand ninjas were still puzzled. Suddenly looking at his companion next to him, a hole suddenly opened in his neck, and blood spurted out. Then, the same is true for myself. The obstacles have been cleared, and the final blow is all that's left to complete the mission. He glanced in the direction of Baiyun Yeshin and others. Great momentum. They were facing the pressure from the front, and Yi Jian naturally did not dare to neglect them. It is only right to complete the mission early and rush to support and assist in the retreat. He immediately transformed into a bolt of lightning and rushed towards the freshwater reserve not far away. According to the information provided by the Ministry of Intelligence, he has eliminated all the guards at the freshwater reserve. No more obstacles. Although it was dangerous, fortunately there was no danger. After landing, he immediately took out the detonating charm from his ninja bag. Just when I was about to put it up, something unexpected happened. Wind Escape Snare Net. An extremely condensed and sharp wind net blasted Yi Jian away hard without giving him a chance to react. Kid, do you think I will let you succeed? A sand ninja with red clothes and curly hair suddenly appeared behind Yi Jian, who flew backwards. The long knife was wrapped in the sharp wind chakra and stabbed out. It's over. It's your honor to die in my hands, Ryuki. Moment. Extreme death threats enveloped Yi Jian. How could I die here? Yi Jian shouted loudly. Thunder Strike Armor, open it. Manic thunder suddenly erupted from his body, shooting out fiercely like a poisonous snake. Boom! What? Yi Jian was knocked away by Ryuki's extremely concentrated sword. Ryuki was also injured by the thunder and lightning on Yi Jian's body, and they both landed at the same time. Puff! After Yi Jian landed on the ground, he vomited out a mouthful of blood, and there were shocking mesh wounds on his upper body. If he hadn't temporarily blocked it with lightning strike armor, he's probably been cut into pieces by now. It's actually a Jonin. Yi Jian stood up despite the pain and quickly took a healing pill. His heart became extremely heavy. Lord Ryuki, are you okay? This time, several figures came together. After seeing it, Yi Jian's heart sank again. 2 special Junin. Then, there were 20 more Chunin. Fine. The sand ninja named Ryuki waved his hand and said to the sand ninjas who came over, "There's something wrong with this kid, please help me." As soon as this word came out, the sand ninjas who came over saw the dead Jins and Famous. They were suddenly shocked. Famous, he is about to be promoted to a special Junin. As for Jins, his strength is even close to that of a Jonin. 2 people leading 20 Chunin didn't block the kid in front of them. And on the other side, "Captain, what should I do? It's impossible for Yi Jian to deal with this Jonin." Shiranui Genma looked panic-stricken and asked Shirakumo Hayama, who was fighting fiercely with the Sunagakur village Jonin. Just now, sensing an anomaly at the freshwater reserve, a Junin was sent to hunt Habarama. Not only that, this Junin also brought a lot of helpers. No matter how he looked at it, Shiranui Genma felt that Habarama was bound to die. Jonin is invincible. Even if you die, you must complete the mission. Baiyun Yeshin answered coldly. This made his opponent burst into laughter. Baiyun Yeshin, what are you talking about in your sleep? You don't think that a mere brat can defeat Ryuki, do you? When Ryuki comes back from rescue, all of you will die. And that is indeed the case. Hitaki Kakashi was struggling to deal with the only special Junin on the field. Shiranui Genma, Metkai, and another Chunin were also in danger under the hands of 3 particularly powerful sand ninjas. Sunagakur village has the upper hand. Although the Chunin were caught off guard due to the surprise attack, they were almost completely wiped out. But the remaining people are enough to kill Baiyun Yeshin and the others. Hateful. Baiyun Yeshin couldn't help but grit his teeth. He originally thought that he could hold off the 2 Jonin and create opportunities for Yi Jian. Unexpectedly, he was directly held back by his opponent, leaving another Jonin to hunt Yi Jian. He knows, if Yi Jian grows up, he will definitely become the mainstay of the village. Now he is about to die because of his mistake. He felt extremely remorseful. Jiraiya-sama, it seems that I can't complete the task you assigned me. Baiyun Yeshin thought desperately in his heart. The person who was entrusted by Jiraiya to protect Hajime was him. He glanced at Kakashi, Shiranui Genma and the others, gritted his teeth and said, "But I must preserve these good seeds for the village." Losing 1 leaf was already more than he could bear. If Kakashi's seedlings are gone too, then he will not rest in peace even if he dies. Noragama here, little ghost, report your name. If you don't die today, a famous strong man will appear again in the ninja world. Looking at Yi Jian, who was alone in the siege but still had no expression on his face, Ryuki couldn't help but feel a little more appreciative. Konaha Chikura. Yi Jian responded calmly. But I was thinking in my heart, I am so lucky that no one else can, to be able to fight against even a Jonin. According to the intelligence, the Ryuki in front of him is not easy to deal with. Good at wind escape and swordsmanship. He is also extremely proficient in the art of instantaneous movement, and is known as the Flying Wind Shira. Of course, Ryuki's identity is also quite interesting. The sand ninja Taki captured by them is his eldest brother. And he also has a younger brother Maki. The man who killed Moonlight Hayate in the original novel. Chenkora, Lucky muttered, his eyes suddenly sharp, then you can go die. Yi Jian felt the figure in front of him flicker, and Ryuki appeared. The sharp sword struck down with force, leaving no chance to react or dodge. Then let me see how big the gap is between me and the Jonin. Yi Jian also swung his knife out and violently collided with the falling knife. Base. With dazzling sparks flying, Ryuki was knocked back. This guy is so powerful. Being forced back, Ryuki was shocked, and his murderous intention towards Yi Jian became even more violent. Such a genius must not be left to Konaha. Boom. The two collided violently again. Sparks continued to fly, and Yijien was still able to fight against Ryuki. And then, the two of them were going faster and faster, and only the cold light and sparks were visible. In the blink of an eye, 10 minutes passed. The two finally separated, but each was injured. Wind escape big net. Ryuki quickly formed a seal to create a huge wind net. Fast speed and wide range. Once released, the escape route will be immediately blocked. It won't let you succeed. Manic chakra suddenly emerged from Yijien's body, and he activated his teleportation technique, and in a whoosh he left the blockade of the wind net. You've been fooled, kid. But Ryuki suddenly laughed out loud, and the mark on his hand suddenly changed. The wind net instantly turned into a roaring violent storm, filling all the nearby space in an instant. Not good. Yijien felt the swamp-like sluggishness again, and immediately knew something was wrong. This strong wind was so fierce that it actually changed its nature. It was much more powerful than Jin's just now. Puff puff. The lightning strike armor on his body was instantly torn to pieces. Before the armor was completely broken, he quickly used the substitute technique to dodge. Otherwise, it must have been instantly cut into a skeleton. Whoosh. But as soon as he appeared, a whip leg ripped through the air and hit him. Puff. Yijien felt like his organs were about to be punched out, and several bones were broken instantly. Is this the strength of a Jonin? With a thought in his mind, the leaves suddenly turned into a ball of smoke. A shadow clone. Although he was a little surprised, his rich experience made him quickly turn around and thrust out with his sword. PFF'd. Yijien was stabbed in the chest with a look of disbelief. It's over, kid. Ryuki pulled out his long sword. I have to say, you were really good at killing so many elites in my Sunagakur village. It's a pity that you met me. Ryuki showed a proud look. You are an insurmountable Junin. Before he finished speaking, the leaves in front of him turned into smoke with a bang. It's the shadow clone again. Lu Ji's pupils suddenly shrank, as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. His wealth of experience allows him to react immediately. But, bah, the thunderbolt sword that penetrated his chest did not give him this chance. On the sharp long knife, there is a whisper of thunder and lightning, which has the power of extreme impact and tearing. It's the Chidori blade. Chapter 11. Wow. Ryuki looked back in disbelief. Yijien's pale but wise face looked particularly cold under the light of thunder. Asshole, I'm actually fooled by a mere transformation technique. Lucky roared unwillingly, you guys are so cunning. The first shadow clone was deliberately created by Yijien using the transformation technique to confuse him. But he just happened to be fooled. So what if you don't give in? If you lose, you lose. Yijien pulled out the long sword and said, besides, tactics is one of the compulsory courses for ninjas. If you don't use it, why don't you allow me to use it? Ryuki suffered another fatal blow to his chest, and his life was cut off immediately. The moment he was temporarily kicked away by me, he actually came up with such a terrible tactic. This guy is so young, but he is already so thoughtful. Who in our sand-hidden village can stop him in the future? Before dying, Ryuki thought desperately. This scene also shocked the onlookers. Sand ninja. How is it possible that Ryuki Junin was killed by such a brat? Kill him. Revenge for Ryuki Junin. Yes, kill him quickly while he is weak now. Two special Junin could not bear to be shocked. Take advantage of your illness. Since Yijien is so weak now, he can no longer be kept. On. Two special Junin came together with 20 Chunin to attack. Hey, are you being besieged again? Yijien looked at the people attacking him unhappily, and the dense light on his body rushed towards them. But, just when these two special Jonin were facing a formidable enemy, they thought they were going to fight each other. Yijien made a sharp turn and shot out a kunai with a detonating talisman towards the freshwater reserve. Ninjutsu. Shunshuriken Jutsu. There was only a fierce sound of swish, swish, piercing the air, and all the water storage places were pierced by kunai. Do not want. Seeing this scene, all the sand ninja couldn't help but scream in shock, but there was no way to stop Yijien. Burst. The flames soared into the sky with a violent roar, and the terrifying wind and waves stirred up violent mist, instantly blurring everything around them. This provides Yijien with a perfect killing environment. Be careful, that guy is coming. Teshang is Teshang, special Junin, and he is keenly aware of Yi Jian's arrival. Both of them approaching at the same time. They're shadow clones, be careful. The other leader was even more shocked. He raised his hand to form a seal and sprayed out a majestic wind pressure, blowing away the mist. But Yi Jian was already in front of them. How rich is this guy's chakra that he can still use shadow clones? Huang Fa Teshang was horrified in his heart, but he did not neglect his hands and started to form seals. But Yi Jian was much faster than them, determined. The body-holding technique also wants to restrain us. What a dream. The two special masters suddenly erupted with powerful chakra and broke through the restraints. I didn't expect to be able to restrain you. Yi Jian's voice sounded again, but he saw that Yi Jian's shadow clone had arrived in front of the Chunin and turned into a beam of lightning. My target is them. It's just a matter of a moment. Before the 20 Chunin could react, their throats were cut and they all fell into the rushing water. Ah, you! Wangfa Teshang shouted violently when he saw this, his eyes were red. But while he was furious, he felt deeply powerless and was completely manipulated by Yi Jian. How sad. Don't worry, it's your turn next. Yi Jian turned around, and so did the shadow clone. You monster. How much chakra do you still have? Seeing Yi Jian's chakra completely bottoming out, another special player felt deep despair. Unfortunately, there's just enough to kill you both. Yi Jian grinned and said in his heart, chakra has bottomed out. Hehe, that's really embarrassing. You don't understand the joy of the immortal body. Even though he only had a mutilated immortal body, his chakra recovery speed was extremely fast. He had fought fiercely for so long and still had % chakra left. I'm up. Yi Jian and the shadow clones shouted loudly at the same time, and at the same time, they turned into lightning and instantly arrived in front of the two special superiors. Boom. After all, it was Teshang who actually blocked the attacking Yi Jian. Yes, Teshang is indeed amazing. While Yi Jian was admiring, he suddenly formed a seal. It's a pity, you still have to wait a step for me. The two special superiors immediately realized something was wrong when they saw this, and then they discovered that detonating symbols were attached to their ribs. They were shocked and quickly used sand clones to avoid it. Cha! Boom! Boom! The sound of two explosions brought a shower of blood. Before the two special masters could react from the pain, Yi Jian had already arrived like the god of death. PFF'd. Kill 2 lives. Yi Jian put away his sword and stood up. After confirming again that Tamsui had been completely destroyed, he hurried to support Baiyun Yeshin and the others. Another place. Baiyun Yeshin, no need to struggle anymore. The Sunagaku Murakami ninja said ferociously, your ultimate fate is death. You wouldn't think that a brat could be a match for a Jonin like Ryuki. Baiyun Yeshin couldn't help snorting, you talk too much. This made the Sunagaku Jonin suddenly laugh proudly, it seems that you were really persistent. Anyway, when Ryuki comes back later, your dream will naturally be shattered. Enjoy your last beautiful thoughts, our Sunagaku village will never fail. But just as he finished speaking, in the direction where they were storing fresh water, a terrifying fire suddenly rose from the ground. Immediately after, along with a dull explosion, there was the sound of raging water. The proud look on the Jonin's face suddenly solidified. How could such an explosion occur at the freshwater reserve? He suddenly had an ominous premonition. The next moment, his premonition came true. I saw a sand ninja running towards me with a frightened face, gasping for breath. No, it's not good, Captain, Danshui. Danshui has been destroyed. After saying that, before the Junin could ask for specific details, he fell to the ground and died. Only then did everyone see the fatal wound on his back. But the news he brought made the sand ninjas present completely confused. This Junin was even more unacceptable. He shouted loudly, impossible. Ryuki is a great Junin with so many helpers. How can he not be able to guard Danshui? This news must be false. Even if it is true, it must now be said to be false. Otherwise, he couldn't imagine the consequences. Why not? At this time, a cold voice sounded behind him, making his hair stand on end. A long knife with great tearing power came with a fierce impact. Being entangled by Baiyun Yeshin, he couldn't dodge at all. PFF'd. But in the end, the Jonin managed to escape the blow at the cost of an arm. This sudden scene left everyone present a little unresponsive. But after seeing Yi Jian, Baiyun Yeshin was suddenly surprised and said, "Is it done?" Yi Jian nodded. "Ha ha ha, okay, as expected of you, Yi Jian." Baiyun Yeshin couldn't help but laugh out loud. But his enemy, Sunagaku Murakami Ninja Saisuke, couldn't accept it at all. "Impossible, kid. I clearly asked Lucky to hunt you. Why did you come back alive? Where is Lucky? Where are the others?" The situation of the battle actually changed because of a little devil. He can't accept it. Faced with Chingsuke's roar, Yi Jian suddenly looked behind him and said, "Then you have to ask about my identity." After saying that, there was a loud bang and dissipated into smoke. It's actually a shadow clone. This scene shocked everyone, but Chingsuke felt as if he was suddenly targeted by a poisonous snake, and his hair stood on end. PFF'd. But before he could take any action, a long knife wrapped in lightning penetrated his chest. Yi Jian's voice also came from behind him. "Didn't you ask where Lucky went? Now you know. Yes, he died like this." After that, he drew his sword and quickly retreated, just in time to avoid Chingsuke's last blow before his death. "Are you kidding me? Captain Chingsuke died like this? Or did he die in the hands of a Konaha brat?" The sand ninjas didn't want to believe what they were seeing. But what Yi Jian said just now proves that Yi Jian really has this strength. Junin Ryuki died in his hands, and it doesn't seem strange to have another Chingsuke. But once Chingsuke died, the situation of the battle changed instantly, and Konoha began to become the dominant side. The remaining Suna ninja couldn't help but despair instantly. Baiyun Yishan and these few Chunin brats were enough to destroy them. Not to mention that Yi Jian, who had killed 2 Junin in a row, was watching with eager eyes. He had no chance of winning. Is this guy a little too good? The shadow clone appeared deliberately to attract everyone's attention, but the main body sneaked up behind the enemy captain and launched a fatal blow. Kakashi was a little skeptical about life. Although this set of tactics is simple, the effect is quite good. If it were him, after he killed a Jonin and successfully completed the mission, I definitely would not think that this tactic could be used to quickly reverse the situation and end the battle. Kill. Baiyun Yeshin was the first to react, turned around and rushed towards the opponents of Metkai and the others. 5 minutes later. That's amazing, Yi Jian. Youth really requires the strongest struggle in order to burst out with the most dazzling light. On the way out, Yi Jian was helpless when asked by Metkai and Shiranui Genma, so he had no choice but to talk about his combat experience. Immediately, Metkai's eyes lit up and he was extremely excited. "We met at the agreed place and saw Baiyun Yeshin arriving with a complete team of 5 people." The 2 teams that had arrived here suddenly showed expressions of surprise. "Haishin, haven't you encountered any enemies?" The bearded Jonin looked at Baiyun Yeshin and couldn't help but ask. Like them, they all encountered a large number of enemies led by 2 Junin, so only half of them came back alive. "I think it should be like this. I guess you were lucky enough to only meet 1 Junin. Otherwise, how would the whole team be able to return?" Another lanky Junin responded. "That's it." Baiyun Yeshin thought for a while. Yejian alone was responsible for nearly half of the enemies. It's really good luck to have such a powerful subordinate. I knew it. The tall and lanky Jonin curled his lips. "Hayama, you are still so lucky." This made Yi Jian couldn't help but touch his nose. "Are you lucky?" His opening made both the bearded Junin and the lanky Junin look at him. "How's it going, Chikura brat? How many enemies have you killed?" "Are there 10? He is so strong. I think there should be more than 10, right, Hayama?" But Baiyun Yeshin shook his head, which made the bearded Jonin suddenly feel a little disappointed and said, "Didn't he even kill 10 enemies?" He pointed at the 2 people behind him. Although they had a poor record, they also killed 16 enemies together. Suddenly, the 2 Chunin looked proud. He also looked at Yi Jian provocatively, with a joking look on his face. It's like saying, "Wasn't it very majestic before setting off? Why is the record behind enemy lines so wide?" Hearing this, Baiyun Yeshin said calmly, "No, you misunderstood me. I meant that he killed more than 10 enemies. Not only did he kill several special masters, he even killed Ryuki, the Junin of Sunagaku village. After destroying the fresh water reserves, he used tactics to kill the last Junin, instantly turning the tide of the war." As soon as this is said, the bearded Junin stood up in shock, with a look of disbelief on his face. "Chikura kid killed a Junin. How is that possible? Baeyun Yeshin glanced at him. Would you know if you try it after you go back? Hiss. The bearded Jonin took a deep breath. He knows Baeyun Yeshin's character very well. He never makes a joke, and whatever he says means it. Looking at Habarama, a 13-year-old genin has the strength of a Junin. For the first time, he felt that the world was so crazy. Then how many enemies did he kill? The lanky Junin asked curiously, is it 20? There shouldn't be more than 30 at most. After all, he also killed a Junin. Who would have thought that Baeyun Yeshin shook his head again, which shocked the lanky Jonin, could it be 40? He feels like the world is a little crazy. But unexpectedly, Baeyun Yeshin still shook his head and gave the final answer. He took on nearly half of the enemies in this mission. As soon as these words came out, there was a sound of inhalation. If I remember correctly, the number of enemies in your mission is 110. Are you saying that this kid killed nearly 60 people? The bearded Jonin said with a horrified face, this world is too crazy. Baeyun Yeshin nodded, isn't it very fantasy, but this is what really happened. Both the bearded Junin and the lanky Junin nodded. How fantastic, simply fantastic. Even they may not be able to do it. The bearded Jonin wants to fight Habarama more and more. The faces of the two people behind the bearded Jonin were completely replaced by shock. What a fairy! Soon after, the two returning teams were equally mutilated. Therefore, it is even more enviable for Baeyun Yeshin to have such an excellent subordinate as Yejian. This way they don't have to make such a big sacrifice. Of course, they didn't dare to stay in Sunagakur village's sphere of influence for too long. After the team was assembled, they quickly retreated back to Konaha's front line. What? Mount Arara was attacked, while Chiyo and Rasa were still planning a raid plan for Konaha in the near future. A team of sand ninjas covered in blood brought such news like a bolt from the blue. How is this possible? Chiyo couldn't calm down at that time. She grabbed the Suna ninja who reported the news and asked, Arayama is the top secret of our Sunagakur village. How could the Konaha ninja know? But as she spoke, she suddenly seemed to realize something, and took a few steps back in a daze. Luo Sha also seemed to understand why, and asked Chiyo with a gloomy face, Chiyo-sama, didn't you promise before that the information in Taki's head would never be leaked? Yes, both Chiyo and Rasa understood at the same time why the Konaha ninja knew the location of Mount Arara. The news about Taki who was captured was leaked. The news that Chiyo thought would never be leaked has been leaked. Chi and I couldn't argue. While he was deeply shocked, he couldn't help but feel bitter at the same time. In the end, he could only turn into a long sigh. This time it's my fault, Luo Sha, I agree with your idea. It's time for Sunagakur village to have a de facto commander. Hearing this, Luo Sha couldn't help but feel ecstatic, but she still snorted coldly. The woman in front of him has hindered him a lot. Now that he has caught her flaw, how can he let her go so easily? I will step down from my command position, but considering that Kage may still need help for his first time in power. Although I am useless, I am still qualified to serve as the advisor to the Kage of Sand Hidden Village and assist the Kage in the battle ahead. I wonder what you think, Kage-sama. How could Chiyo not see what Luo Sha was thinking, so she said calmly. It was indeed her fault that her mistake caused the fall of Mount Arara. But she had already made concessions and agreed to Rasa taking over the position of Kage of Sunagakur village, with the power in her hands. If Luo Sha still doesn't know what's good and wants to sweep her out of the top position, then she is not someone to be trifled with. She and her brother Ebi had a good foundation in Hidden Sand Village. Humph, Luo Sha, who didn't reach her own idea, was a little unwilling to do so. But he also knew the importance. With the position of Kage in hand, sooner or later the entire Sunagakur village would be his. I'm sorry, Granny Chiyo, I was so rude just now. As a person who covets the position of Kage, how could Luo Sha not have any city power? It doesn't matter, young people, it would be weird if you don't act impulsive. Chiyo smiled, calmly, as if the scene just now did not exist at all. Konaha ahead, ha ha ha, Yi Jian boy, your growth has really surprised me. Jiraiya looked at Yi Jian, who was summoned by him alone, with an expression full of disbelief. He originally thought that Yi Jian's ability to kill a particularly Junin-level enemy would be a great feat. But who knew he was such a monster and actually killed a Jonin? That was a Jonin who was ranked among the strongest in the ninja world, not a cabbage. Jiraiya seemed to be able to see the scene in the near future, where Yijien and his Sannin Jiraiya would be on par. Konaha's White Fang is resurrected again. Looking at the leaf in front of him, Jiraiya couldn't help but overlap him with the deceased Hitachi Tsukumo. Really similar. He is also good at the thunder escape sword technique, and his style is equally fast and cold. Moreover, Yijien is even more evil than White Fang. Old man, you won't persecute talents this time. After all, Yijien poses no threat to you. When White Fang was driven to death, he was far away on the battlefield. By the time I returned, everything had settled. Although he didn't say anything, he couldn't help but feel extremely disappointed with the top management of Konaha. I feel extremely sorry for White Fang's untimely death. But now, a talent like the reincarnation of White Fang is standing in front of him, and he also has such strong medical ability. He felt that, regardless of public or private life, he must protect Yijien and let him grow up successfully. Good luck, it's all because the captains deployed well. Regarding Jiraiya's praise, Yijien just smiled modestly. He had no idea that in just a few seconds, he had gained a thick leg. Jiraiya shook his head when he heard this. You are still so humble, okay, go do your own thing. Yijien immediately withdrew and released the shadow clone, and immediately felt an extraordinarily full feeling spreading throughout his body. Thanks to the immortal body, his mental power is extremely strong, so the fatigue caused by the shadow clone has almost no impact on him. Arrive at the medical clinic. From the beginning, he treated everyone who was injured during this mission. When passing by Kakashi, he suddenly stared at Hajin for a while, which made Hajin raise his eyebrows and asked curiously, Your Excellency Hitachi Kakashi, is there something on my face? I heard Kakashi say seriously, Your Excellency Hajime, you really look so much like someone I know. Whether it's temperament or demeanor. Hearing these words, Yijien couldn't help but feel a little depressed. Why do you say that? Is his disguise so failed? Of course, he remained very calm on the surface and said with a smile, You are not the first person to say this. Your captain Baiyun Yeshin also said the same, saying that I am very similar to his subordinate Chankora. Speaking of which, what about Chikura of your team? Why haven't you met anyone else? After what you said, I really want to meet him. Kakashi shook his head. At this time, he may still be summoned by Lord Jiraiya. I heard that he also agreed to a duel with Senju Taro Jonin. If Dr. Hazama is free to go and see him tomorrow, he will naturally be able to see him. Yijien smiled. I see, that's really exciting. The next day. Sign-in completed. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10 detonating talismans, 1 perception spell, and 1 healing potion making scroll. Just as he finished signing in front of a certain patient's bed, Yijien heard a burst of excitement coming from outside. Did you hear that the hero Chikura is going to duel with Senju Taro Jonin? Is this the hero Chikura who single-handedly killed a Jonin of Sunagakure village during an S-class mission? I heard that this Chikura is only 13 years old, and he can already kill a Jonin. Is he a monster? Yijien stood at the entrance and looked at the ninjas who were gathering excitedly not far away, and he couldn't help but suddenly realized. Almost forgot. Jiraiya, who agreed yesterday, accepted the challenge of the bearded Jonin, Senju Taro. Yijien immediately found a place to create a shadow clone to replace himself, then transformed into Chankora and went to the appointment. In the process, I learned the art of perception. Come on, Senju Taro Junin is here. Why didn't you see Chankora? Doesn't he dare to come? How is it possible? He has even killed a Junin. Even if he cannot defeat Senju Taro Junin, he won't dare to come. The fighting power of a 13-year-old Junin is something I really look forward to. Among the onlookers, many people did not believe that Chankora had this strength. They were more willing to believe that it was Baiyun Yeshin, Senju Taro and others who shared the credit with Yijien for the sake of Jiraiya. Maybe Hazama just managed to kill the special Junin of Sunagakure village with the help of Shirayan Hayama and the others. Then it was passed down that Yijien killed the Jonin alone. Can a 13-year-old kill a Jonin? How can people like them, who have only barely reached the threshold of Jonin strength after living all their lives, live? Excuse me, can you let me in? At this time, Someone was photographed, turned around and saw a kid talking like this. He immediately felt unhappy. Why should I let you in? Do you still want to jump in line? Do you think it's possible? The ninjas around him also nodded. That's right, there's no reason to jump in line. Faced with this situation, Yi Jian couldn't help but touch his nose. I think if I don't go in, this battle will not start. This made the man immediately unhappy. If you don't go in, there's no way to start. Who do you think you are? Halfway through the words, the man suddenly reacted and exclaimed, Are you Chikura? This sound instantly attracted everyone nearby. Faced with everyone's surprised gazes, Yi Jian grinned. Isn't it like that? There was a sudden gasp among the crowd, and everyone quickly moved out of the way. Thank you all. Yi Jian thanked him politely and then walked towards the inner circle. Ha ha ha, your way of showing up is really unique. Seeing this, Senju Taro couldn't help laughing and said. I made everyone laugh. Yi Jian also smiled, and then said sternly, If I offend you later, please forgive me. Senju Taro heard this and patted his chest. Come on, let us all see what your level is. Among the onlookers, Baiyun Yeshin, Hitaki Kakashi and others were present. Even as everyone was screaming, Jiraiya, the frontline commander, also appeared at the scene. Then I'll start. Yi Jian pulled out the long knife from his waist, and his body was immediately filled with a layer of manic thunder and lightning. The faces of everyone present suddenly became solemn. Many ninjas were directly horrified. He can control such a manic thunder and lightning so exquisitely. This guy can't really kill a Jonin. They could feel the changes in the nature of the thunder and lightning. But precisely because of this, they were even more surprised. The change in nature is something that many people present have not grasped. It seems that Yi Shan really didn't lie. You kid is really a monster. Senju Taro's feeling was the strongest. He felt that Yi Jian was a gathering of thunder and lightning at the moment, and if he touched him, he would be injured. The two looked at each other. The next moment, the whereabouts of two people were lost on the field at the same time. So fast, countless ninjas watching were shocked. Base. A dazzling spark exploded in the air, accompanied by a dull collision sound. Only two sharp shadows were seen falling in the field, and then they collided fiercely. Boom boom boom. It was like two ferocious beasts colliding, and the scene was extremely shocking. He didn't fall behind at all. How is that possible? The Senju Taro Junin has inherited the strange power and powerful perception of the Senju clan. Even other Junin do not dare to fight with him in close combat. Monster. This is it. Seeing the battle in the field that was like a ferocious beast in human form, all the onlookers were shocked. Kakashi, Genma, Kai. There are not many opportunities to learn at such a close distance, don't miss it. Baiyun Yeshin said to the three people around him. The three of them all nodded, but he didn't need to say anything. The three of them also knew how valuable such an opportunity was. Now, not only them, but also the Chunin like Yamashiro Aoba and Ebisu were all watching the battle intently. He stared intently, for fear of missing any scene. Even if you become a Junin, you will feel that you have been greatly benefited. Fire Escape Dragon Fire Technique. Suddenly, Senju Taro unexpectedly stepped back and quickly formed a seal to spray out a line of scorching flames. Yi Jian, who was chasing after him, was unprepared and was directly pierced through his body. Failed. Seeing this scene, everyone present was shocked, but they immediately realized something was wrong. Impossible so fast. Sure enough, the next moment Yi Jian's body was pierced and turned into a substitute tree. What a fast substitute. All the Junin were amazed, even they didn't see the seal in the leaves. Senju Taro, who had just landed, seemed to have noticed something, and flew forward and punched behind him. Boom. Senju Taro felt like he was shaking against an iron plate. The hard and heavy touch shocked him. But what made him even more unexpected was what happened next. The moment his chakra-wrapped punch hit Yi Jian, the thunder and lightning on his body actually roared with great speed. What? Senju Taro was shocked and quickly retreated, but everyone in the audience immediately exclaimed, "Be careful behind you." Senju Taro was shocked. In his perception, a leaf appeared behind him and attacked quickly. The leaf in front of him suddenly turned into smoke. Boom. Senju Taro used the substitution technique in time to avoid the attack from Yi Jian behind him, but he still felt a numbness in his right hand. This was struck by the lightning on the Shadow Clone's lightning strike armor. What a boy, you actually used your Shadow Clone to confuse me. Senju Taro couldn't help but admire. It seems that I have to show my true skills, otherwise, I will be laughed at if I really lose. Yi Jian smiled and said, don't dare. But he became more vigilant in his heart, and thunder and lightning wrapped him tightly. Not in this state, he couldn't keep up with Senju Taro's rhythm. This is the strength of a serious Jonin. As long as Ryuki doesn't despise Yi Jian, he will never be killed so easily. Whoosh! Senju Taro rushed over again, waving his hand and throwing a shuriken. Wherever Yi Jian dares to deal with it, Senju Taro will definitely seize the opportunity to give him a heavy blow against the shuriken. Good boy, your reaction is really fast. Seeing Yi Jian actually stepped back, Senju Taro couldn't help but praise him. This made his original idea of getting close and giving Yi Jian a heavy blow instantly bankrupt. Fire escape dragon fire technique. But he is a Jonin after all, and his rich combat experience allows him to quickly choose other tactics. A ray of flame surged out, roaring in front of Yi Jian who had just landed. The simple dragon fire technique itself has good penetrating power, and there is no problem in penetrating trees like bullets. But it was different in the hands of Jonin Senju Taro, who added changes in nature. Yi Jian felt that the flame was still 1 or 2 meters away from him, and the terrifying heat was already causing pain all over his body, and there was also a powerful impact and pressure, making him feel like he was about to be destroyed directly. Where is the dragon fire technique? It is obviously more like a fire dragon flame missile. Boom! Yi Jian jumped out of the way, and the barrier behind him suddenly trembled, and even the earth trembled. Seeing this power, Yi Jian was a little frightened, secretly thinking that even Jonin should not be underestimated. But, it's not over yet, kid. Senju Taro shouted loudly, and saw that he actually fired the dragon fire technique continuously, forming a dense, fire coverage, completely blocking Yi Jian's forward and backward directions. It's appeared, it's Senju Taro's special skill, Dragon Fire Strike. Sure enough, just like the rumors, all escape routes are cut off instantly, and we can only confront them head-on. But how can we deal with such a terrifying fire escape head-on? It's too scary. Everyone looked at Yi Jian curiously, wondering how he would respond. Thunder Dungeon Thousand Bird Blade. Forced to have nowhere to hide, Yi Jian's body was shot with lightning, and he held the thunder knife in his hand and fought hard against him. Bah! Something amazing happened. This intensive fire attack was actually torn apart by Yi Jian's sword and lightning, and Yi Jian jumped to the front of Senju Taro in an instant like thunder. So fast, even Jiraiya couldn't help but be a little surprised. With such speed, looking at Konaha, Minato may be the only one who can stabilize him. Others couldn't see Yi Jian's movements clearly. All he saw was a bolt of lightning falling towards Senju Taro, and the sword he was blocking was cut off without any hindrance. PFF'd. A splash of blood floated in the air. I saw Senju Taro retreating suddenly, and the pursuing lightning was suddenly forced to stop due to the explosion on his body, revealing Yi Jian's figure. Yi Jian must admit that Jonin is really scary. Despite his high-speed slashing, a detonating talisman was accurately attached to him, interrupting his momentum of continuing to charge forward and giving himself a chance to breathe. Wind escape great breakthrough. Senju Taro took advantage of this opportunity and began to quickly form seals with his hands. How can Yi Jian make him achieve his wish? He quickly formed the seal. Ninja technique, body holding technique. He knew that this would not be able to stop Senju Taro even for a second. But what he wants is this moment of opportunity. Ninjutsu. Shunshuriken Jutsu. A piece of shuriken was shot out by him, and it accelerated instantly and arrived in front of Senju Taro. Senju Taro, who had just escaped from the immobilization technique, was forced to break the seal and form a substitute to dodge the blow. It's here. Activating the perception technique, Yi Jian instantly noticed the movement behind his right hand, and immediately threw a kunai wrapped in lightning. Good boy. Senju Taro, who had just appeared, saw the kunai approaching. He couldn't help feeling deeply troubled, and at the same time, he quickly wrapped chakra in his hand and smashed the kunai away. He actually noticed the whereabouts of the Jonin. This kid is really incredible. What a monster. Is it possible that Senju Taro will lose? The Jonin didn't feel anything before. But Yi Jian's precise attack on Senju Taro, who had just appeared, made them increase Yi Jian's attention several times in an instant. This means that Yi Jian also has the ability to perceive terror. This is something that none of them, who are also Jonin, can do. But more than that, Jiraiya felt even deeper. He even interrupted a Jonin's hand seal and forced him to retreat, but he noticed the other party's traces the moment he appeared. He also launched ninja tools so that the other party could only block it, thus the opponent has seized the opportunity to take action. I can't believe this combat method was created by a 13-year-old ninja. As he said, Yi Jian in the field once again released the extremely fast Shuken Shuriken technique. Senju Taro's head suddenly got big, but he had to swing the kunai. While retreating at a high speed, he quickly shot down the kunai that was still coming with force. He knew the consequences of doing so, but he had no other choice. Be careful behind you. Faced with everyone's exclamations, Senju Taro suddenly grinned. Kid, I knew you would get close. He suddenly turned around and glared at Yi Jian. Definitely. He also knows how to hold the body in place. Although it could only trap Yi Jian for a moment, it was enough for Senju Taro. You lose, kid. Senju Taro's big hand grabbed Yi Jian's neck directly. At this time, he had just broken free from the restraint of the body-holding technique. Yes, Yi Jian looked at the big hand so close and suddenly smiled. Mutation. On the ground behind Senju Taro, a shuriken suddenly transformed into Habarama. At the moment when Senju Taro grabbed the neck of the leaf in front of him, the leaf behind him also punched Senju Taro and flew away. Aha! Senju Taro only had time to block with his right arm before his body flew out uncontrollably. Yi Jian, who was caught in his hands, was also forced to let go. But surprisingly, the captured Yi Jian was actually not the shadow clone, but the one who blasted Senju Taro away. Senju Taro stood up quickly, but he only felt a flash of lightning in front of him, and a biting chill came from behind. Senju Taro Jonin, you'd better not move. Hearing this, Senju Taro couldn't help but smiled bitterly and shook his head, raising his hands in surrender. Young people are terrible, I lost. Seeing this result, the scene suddenly boiled. Isn't it true? Senju Taro Jonin actually lost. Oh my god, what kind of monster is this? It's incredible to be defeated by a Jonin at the age of 13. No one expected this result. They thought, a tie is the best result that Yi Jian can achieve. Will Senju Taro lose? How can it be? But the reality slapped them hard. Yi Jian really won. Can I have that kind of lightning escape? Kakashi was not interested in this result of Hajima's victory. He was deeply attracted to the Chidori blade. This violent blow full of tearing and impact force suddenly made him feel like he was enlightened. Some things that were just ideas actually had a theoretical basis and the possibility of realization. I wonder if I can discuss it with him. Kakashi couldn't help but clenched his fists. He had never been as excited as he was now. Is he already so strong? Shiranui Genma was shocked, and he couldn't help but feel a strong sense of powerlessness. Are all geniuses really so incomparable? On the other hand, Metkai shouted excitedly, Yi Jian, I understand that youth is full of miracles and hard work. I have decided to do 1 push-ups today, and if I can't finish it, I will do sit-ups. If that doesn't work, just 4,000 leapfrogs. I will definitely shine the most dazzlingly. Seeing Metkai like this, Jiraiya couldn't help but admire him. He was such a passionate child. Looking at Yi Jian walking towards him, he sighed, you always surprise me, but I never expected that you can still defeat the Jonin even if it is not a life and death battle. Hearing this, Yi Jian touched his head and was as humble as ever. Senju Taro Jonin is just taking care of me. If it were yesterday, and it was not a life and death battle, Yi Jian would never be sure of defeating Senju Taro. But before today, after he carefully digested the combat experience of the mission, he gained a new understanding of the mastery of various abilities, and this was how he achieved today's victory. Is that true? I think everyone knows it. Jiraiya said, approaching Habarama and whispering, when do you plan to reveal your identity? Yi Jian thought for a moment and then said, wait until I become famous in the ninja world like you. If he doesn't have enough self-protection, he will only die faster if his true identity is revealed. He knew how much Sunagakur village hated him. Makes sense. Seeing that Yi Jian had such a plan, Jiraiya felt relieved. If Yi Jian has no plan, he should worry about whether he is a little complacent. I look forward to your further growth, so go ahead and grow as much as you want. Jiraiya patted Habarama on the shoulder, while I'm still on the front line. Hearing these words, Yi Jian was shocked. You. Jiraiya shook his head. You will know soon, so don't ask so many questions. You don't need to know this yet. Yi Jian couldn't help but wonder in his heart why Jiraiya said such things. According to the original work, before Konaha 46 years ago, Jiraiya had been presiding over the overall situation on the front line. In the 46th year of Konaha, the Battle of Mount Kikyo broke out. Iwagakure and Kumogakure jointly attacked Konaha. Jiraiya was transferred to the front line of Iwagakure village to take charge of the overall situation. Orochimaru replaced Jiraiya to preside over the Battle of Sunagakure village and defeated Sunagakure village. But it was also this year that Tsunade left Konaha village. Immediately afterwards, Orochimaru, who was supposed to succeed the Hokage, also defected due to the exposure of human experiments. In order to monitor the whereabouts of Orochimaru, Jiraiya on the front line of Iwagakure village also left Konaha. This was how Minato Namikaze took the lead and became famous in the ninja world. Is it because I flapped the wings of the time traveler? Yi Jian thought. In the original book, during the Battle of Mount Kikyo, one of the factors that contributed to Konoha's final victory was cutting off the supplies of Sunagakure village, which allowed Sunagakure village to surrender and end the battle. He didn't know if the place where supplies were cut off in the original work was Mount Mora. But according to the information obtained from the base of the tower, the supplies in Mount Mora are indeed extremely important to the Suna ninja. Because of this reason, it is not impossible for Jiraiya to leave the front line of Sunagakure village early. Forget it, just like Jiraiya said, I don't need to think about this now. Now I just need to feel at ease and become stronger. Regardless of the upcoming invasion of Iwagakure and Kumogakure. It's still Danzo Shimura who likes to cause trouble in the village. Or the Nine Tails rebellion later on. They all require strength to deal with. Just when Yi Jian was about to go back, Kakashi suddenly stopped in front of Yi Jian and said awkwardly, Chikura, can you please, do me a favor? This made many people who were preparing to leave feel a sense of surprise. Has even the genius Hatake Kakashi begun to ask for advice from this monster Hajime? Immediately I felt more pressure. Geniuses have worked so hard, so what reason do they have for not working hard? Let's talk somewhere else. He had some guesses as to Kakashi's purpose, and it was probably related to the Chidori blade. He took Kakashi to the place where he practiced. What do you want me to help you with? Tell me in advance that I can't help you with things that are too outrageous. Yi Jian knew clearly that he wanted to live a good life in Konoha in the future. It is important to be strong, but it is equally important to have your own small force. Why do the Sannin have such an important position in Konoha? That is, not only are they powerful, but they also have personal power and influence that can influence the situation in Konoha. That's why it has such a status. Otherwise, like White Fang, he would end up miserable. I have such an idea. Kakashi explained in detail his idea of developing ninjutsu on how to gather manic lightning in his hands and then form high-speed piercing. Aren't you afraid that I'll steal the idea and then publicize that it was developed by me? Yi Jian said jokingly. Kakashi's reason for coming was exactly as he guessed. He wanted to learn the principles of the Chidori blade and then develop a Reikiri. Unexpectedly, Kakashi said seriously, I don't think anyone will think so. After all, isn't your Chidori blade just such a ninjutsu? It's normal for you to strengthen and upgrade it a little. And on the contrary, after everyone sees my new jutsu, they will probably think that I borrowed your ninjutsu. Hearing this, Yi Jian couldn't help but smile, and then said seriously, if you really want me to tell you 1, 2, 3, my level is definitely not enough. I can only tell you that your idea is correct. The secret of this technique lies in the impact. Of course, my chakra operation method, converting the chakra ratio of thunder and lightning, etc., may be useful to you. At this point, he suddenly became serious, but let me advise you, your current reaction ability cannot keep up with the technique you are about to develop. Perhaps you can work on other changes in the nature of thunder and lightning. For example, tearing. Just imagine that you hold a thunder and lightning in your hand and can control it to fight the enemy as you like. Instead of condensing thunder and lightning, it is controlled by it to fight against the enemy. Hearing these words of Yi Jian, Kakashi was thoughtful. He bowed deeply towards Yi Jian, thank you. He believed that few ninjas would be willing to reveal such ninjutsu secrets. But Yi Jian told him so straightforwardly. This is a great help. I'm looking forward to your new technique. With a wave of his hand, Yi Jian left. From winter to spring. Konaha 44, a battlefield somewhere in the Kingdom of Wind. The cold light of Konaha is coming, everyone, be careful. A special leader of Sunagaku shouted with fear on his face. The next moment, a bolt of lightning passed him by. His eyes widened, he covered his neck in disbelief and fell down. Kill, a young man shouted sharply and said to the Konoha ninjas behind him. Oh, all Konoha ninjas looked at the young man with admiration, and their morale was high. Retreat, retreat quickly. Seeing this scene, the Jonin of Sunagaku village shouted in panic. Retreat, but unexpectedly, the young man suddenly laughed, are you looking down on me a little? With a whooshing sound, he appeared behind the Jonin. Although the long sword filled with thunder and lightning was blocked by the Jonin with all his strength. But the Jonin flew upside down for a long distance like a kite with its string cut off. Karimaru, let's spare your life and go back and tell your Kazekage-sama that your Sunagaku village has no chance of winning any longer. Surrender. The young man looked at the panicked sand ninjas and said these words like a bolt from the blue. Asshole, stop talking nonsense. After being blown away, Garumaru stood up and shouted with a gloomy expression. You're so stubborn. The young man smiled, forget it, everyone, let us teach them what suppression by absolute strength means. A group of Konoha ninjas behind him shouted again, with high fighting spirit. After an hour, ha ha ha, you are now a famous and powerful man. Yes, you have the same demeanor as I did back then. This is the third front you have captured this month. Plus this time you killed several of their ninja elites. I guess the Kazekage already hates you to the core. On the Konoha front line, Jiraiya looked at the young man in front of him and laughed with satisfaction. After all, he offered a reward of 4,500 million taels. And he issued a siege order against me just after becoming Kazekage. Since he thinks so highly of me, how can I live up to this favor if I don't repay him properly? The young man is Yi Jian, he said with a smile. 2 months have passed since the Battle of Mount Arara. In the past 2 months, Yi Jian has grown step by step to the point where he can stand alone. And with his super speed, he repeatedly defeated the Sand Ninja Army, and was dubbed the Konoha Cold Light, becoming famous on the battlefield. Fame is catching up with Yellow Flash, Minato Namikaze. He is the idol of countless young ninjas on the entire Konoha front line. And under him, the one with the greatest reputation is undoubtedly Thunderlight Kakashi. With Yi Jian's help, he successfully developed the powerful skill, Purple Lightning, in just 1 week. It can be said that he is almost invincible without meeting a Jonin. Moreover, he is only 10 years old. It is known as a being with more potential than Yi Jian. Okay, let's get down to business. Jiraiya's expression became serious, and Yi Jian suddenly became serious. A month ago, the healing potion formula you submitted was unanimously approved by the top management. You still need to go back and plan with Tsunade regarding the related production and transportation. In addition, now that you have made such great contributions on the front line, Sunagaku village has also fallen into decline. The top management also feels that it is not appropriate to have too many conflicts, so they have decided to postpone the war. Jiraiya looked at Hajime. Do you still remember what I told you when I was still on the front line, asking you to work hard to become stronger? Yi Jian nodded. He naturally remembered that he had become stronger by fighting hard in the past 2 months. Isn't it because of this? When you asked me why, I didn't answer you, but now I can tell you. Jiraiya's expression became solemn. According to Konoha's secret report, Iwagakure village and Kumogakure village seem to have made some moves in the near future. After high-level discussions, it was decided to send Orochimaru to take over my job. If Iwagakure village and Kumogakure village start a war, I will go to the front line there to take charge of the overall situation. After hearing Jiraiya's words, Yi Jian immediately showed a look of, I see. So, you, Kakashi, Shiranui Genma and other people who have made great achievements this time will return to Konoha with me, and will probably fight on other battlefields. Jiraiya patted Hajime on the shoulder. but Konoha is no better than the front line, you kid must be more careful. Of course, as long as you don't go too far, no one will dare to do anything against you as long as Tsunade and I are here. In addition to the Hokage advisor, the old man's comrade in arms Shimura Danzo. Hearing these words, Yi Jian glanced at Jiraiya in surprise, but he also felt very moved. Jiraiya could have stopped saying this and not wading into this muddy water. Because if you protect him, you will offend Danzo, but Jiraiya did just that. He bowed deeply to Jiraiya, I can't thank you enough. Jiraiya laughed when he saw this, you are always so polite, but there may be a bigger surprise waiting for you. The bigger surprise? You mean? Yi Jian looked at Jiraiya curiously, and the latter smiled mysteriously, maybe you can get a higher level of protection. Okay, prepare your bags and set off with me. When we get back, I'll introduce you to an interesting person. Yi Jian could only sigh helplessly, he didn't like the feeling of speaking mysteriously. Arouse his curiosity without telling him. But regarding the interesting person Jiraiya mentioned, he couldn't help but guess, could he be the one with the genius of naming? Go back to your room. Host, Noragama. Age, 14. Ninja combat power, Elite Jonin. Chakra amount, 80. Normal Genin 5. Items, Kunai 50, Explosion Talisman 100, Steel Wire 70, Healing Food Pills 10, Physical Strength Pills 10. Medical Ninjutsu. Palm Immortal Creation, Palm Immortal Destruction, Palm Immortal Technique. Ninjutsu. Shuriken Technique, Instant Shuriken Technique, Shadow Clone Technique, and Great Power Technique. Thunder Release. Lightning Strike Armor, Thousand Birds Blade. Swordsmanship. Willow Leaf Instant Dance. Physique. Incomplete Immortal Body. During these 2 months, Yi Jian's strength improvement is not too great, he just progressed from the Junin level to the Elite Junin level. It's like the system has entered a settling period. Most of the things you get every time you sign in are auxiliary items, such as detonating charms, kunai, etc. The only useful things are the giant power technique, which makes his power extremely terrifying, and the sword technique, Willow Leaf Instant Dance, which is more suitable for his high-speed movement. But outside the system, he has also benefited a lot. The biggest gain is to fully control this rapidly growing strength. He is now very comfortable with his powers and has made his own path, instead of just following the same pattern as 2 months ago. Compared to the tranquility on Konoha's front line at the moment, it was really boring in Sand Hidden Village. Luo Sha roared with great anger, Chinkang, Luo Sha, will kill you. In the past 2 months, the casualties caused by this Chankora accounted for 1/5 of their overall casualties. In order to kill this guy, he even went out in person, but was stopped by Jiraiya. Chio's surprise attack was blocked by Inagacho, and there was nothing he could do against Chikura's astonishing speed. Many times he was about to succeed, but he still escaped. So much so that their dignified Sand Hidden Village couldn't do anything to a kid. We can only watch helplessly as he makes such a big name on the front line. And eventually became the Konoha Cold Light, that was passed down by word of mouth. But after the anger, he felt deeply powerless. Because of the destruction of supplies in Mount Mora and the continuous losses in the past 2 months. Not only were the Suna ninjas tired of fighting, but they also began to lose confidence in defeating Konoha. Even the great names of the Kingdom of Wind, who had supported them so much, also revealed their intention to give in. If the Suna ninja doesn't win another decent victory, the daimyo of the Land of Wind will have no choice but to withdraw financial aid to Sunagakur village. This is undoubtedly fatal to Sand Hidden Village. Luo Sha doesn't understand. Why did he become a Cage and why was his life so difficult? Master Cage, urgent report. At this moment, an Anbu from Sand Hidden Village appeared. The top management of Konoha decided to put the situation on hold. Jiraiya, Konoha Hangwang and others are about to return to Konoha. Luo Sha frowned when he heard this. He didn't feel any happiness, but felt a deep chill. Who is the new frontline commander? A cold face suddenly appeared in his mind. If that man appeared on the front line, he thought it might as well be Jiraiya. I don't know yet, but it is very likely that it is Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas. It is said that Shimura Danzo, a high-ranking member of Konoha, tried his best to promote this matter. Anbu replied. Luo Sha nodded, her face becoming more gloomy, I understand. After the Anbu left, he murmured in a low voice, "It seems that the moment has really come when we have to fight." Orochimaru's aggressive style was different from Jiraiya's steady approach. He was a poisonous snake, Jiraiya had them so weak now. With Orochimaru's style, he will definitely bite him hard. He just doesn't want to fight a big battle anymore. 2 days later, Muya village. Welcome back, Lord Jiraiya, Lord Hokage is waiting for you. As soon as Jiraiya arrived at the gate, an Anbu appeared. Understood, Jiraiya said to Kakashi beside him, you go back first. Then he called Yi-Jian, you come with me. Yi-Jian nodded, and followed Jiraiya to the Hokage building amidst the envy of Shiranui Genma and others. Along the way, it naturally attracted a lot of attention. Jiraiya, who is that? One of the 3 ninjas. What kind of identity does Yi-Jian have that he can actually be taken along with him? Naruto office. Old man, watch out. I brought Nora Hazama back to you unharmed. As soon as Jiraiya saw the 3rd Hokage, he said very funny, don't stop saying that I put the medical genius in danger. I have discovered for our Konaha a very outstanding person in both combat and medical treatment. Talent. You have to train me well and don't treat others badly. Listen to what Jiraiya said. The 3rd Hokage couldn't help but darken his face and scolded with a smile, is this how you kid herd me? It's like the old man and I are a fatuous person who is jealous of others. In Konaha, only Jiraiya could say such words to the 3rd Hokage. If the others said this, they would not get the 3rd Hokage to just laugh it off. While their master and apprentice were talking, Yi-Jian was also looking at the 3rd Hokage. It was a little more vicissitudes of life than the last time he saw it. Okay, no more nonsense then. The 3rd Hokage became serious. He looked at Yi-Jian who had just woken up. His tone was a little complicated, I never expected that you still have such a fighting talent. I thought you just got a medical genius. Now it seems that I am blind. Now that the matter has come to this, I will naturally not stop you from continuing to develop. Hearing these words, Yi-Jian immediately bowed and said, thank you, Hokage-sama. The 3rd Hokage continued. You performed very well on the front line, and it just so happens that you are back now. I have nothing to reward you. I heard that you are good at swordsmanship and thunder escape. Then I want to come to Konoha to collect these sword skills and thunder escape collections. It should be helpful to you. The 3rd Hokage took out a scroll and said, I hope you will guard against arrogance and impatience, and continue to contribute your strength to Konoha. Hearing these words, Yi-Jian couldn't help but feel happy, secretly thinking that he was worthy of being the 3rd Hokage, he would indeed win over people's hearts. Such a heavy thing was given to him directly. Thank you, Hokage-sama. There's no reason not to get good stuff delivered to your door. Speaking of which, I should be the one to thank you. Thanks to your presence on the front line, many seriously injured ninjas were able to recover, which greatly enhanced the combat power of Konoha. The healing potions and healing pills you developed were even praised by Tsunade, saying they were the 2 greatest inventions in Konoha's medical history. The 3rd Hokage's eyes were filled with admiration, so, are you willing to be my disciple? Hearing this, Yi-Jian was stunned for a moment, and then he knelt down respectfully and said, Teacher, please bow to me as a disciple. There are many benefits to worshipping Sandai as his disciple, and Yi-Jian has no reason to refuse. Becoming a 3rd-generation disciple means that he has officially entered the inner circle of Konoha. In the future, when he becomes stronger, he won't have to worry about following in White Fang's footsteps. With such benefits, why not accept it? Congratulations, old man, for taking on such a good apprentice. Then he looked at Yi-Jian who was standing up, winked and said, you will call me senior brother from now on. Hearing this, Yi-Jian smiled and said, why not? He finally understood what the greater blessing, surprised Jiraiya was talking about. The 3rd Hokage who was listening continued, Hajime, in view of your contribution to the development of Konoha's medical industry, I officially appoint you as the deputy chairman of Konoha's medical team to assist Tsunade in developing her medical career. Of course, I don't restrict you from going to the front lines to fight, or from performing temporary missions. Hearing what Hokage said, Yi-Jian nodded, thank you, teacher. The Konoha medical team is only half a level lower than the Konoha guard. As a Hokage disciple, he would not be considered as not qualified enough to hold the position of deputy chairperson. Coupled with his status as the apprentice of the third Hokage, he has one foot in the decision-making circle. The third Hokage said again, Hajime, since you are now the deputy chairman of the medical team, your status as a genin is naturally not enough. Let's do this. I will make an exception and promote you to the rank of special Jonin. But in order not to be questioned, I will wait until you complete this task before granting it to me. What do you think? Yi Jian nodded upon hearing this. Teacher, please give me some instructions. The third Hokage was very satisfied with Yi Jian's courtesy. Iwagakure village and Kumogakure village have been making moves recently, and they seem to have the idea of raiding Konaha. I need you to go to Iwagakure to find out what's going on, to prevent us from passively accepting the challenge. Hearing this, Yi Jian immediately responded, understood. At this time, the third Hokage thought of something and said with a smile, I heard that you helped Kakashi develop a new technique. I didn't expect you to have this talent. Hearing this, Yi Jian replied, it's not my help. He already had the corresponding idea. I just provided some ideas. I didn't expect that Kakashi was so smart and developed it in just a week. The power is indeed amazing. After hearing this, the third Hokage smiled helplessly. It's just like Jiraiya said, you are always so humble. Yi Jian spread his hands, I might call it honesty more accurately. This made both Jiraiya and the third Hokage smile. Then now, your identity can be made public. Jiraiya said, I believe everyone will be shocked. Yi Jian thought for a while and smiled, maybe so. At this moment, the voice of the system came from his mind. The sign-in begins. Please go to the Konaha medical team to sign in, it will take 5 minutes. This made him frown slightly, and then he said to the third Hokage and Jiraiya, if there is nothing else, I will leave first. The two nodded in agreement, and Yi Jian thought to himself, I originally planned to visit teacher Tsunade. Since the signing mission happens to be on the way, it would be even better. I wonder what I will get when I sign in this time. A yin seal would be the best. Konaha medical team, Tsunade sensei, I'm back. Yi Jian opened the door and said with a smile on his face. Are you willing to come back, kid? Tsunade, who was teaching medical ninjas, glanced at him and said angrily, just in time, I have a seriously injured person here. He was already planning to have his legs amputated, but since your kid is here, consider him lucky. Hearing this, Yi Jian couldn't help but raise his eyebrows, then I came at the right time. He was led by Tsunade to an unconscious ninja. Tsunade introduced. My hamstring was torn during the mission, and I was delayed for 2 days. It's up to you, kid. With that said, Tsunade said to the few medical ninjas who followed, observe carefully. Whether you can learn something depends on your own ability. This made these medical ninjas a little dissatisfied. Who is this kid? Tsunade thinks so highly of him that he even lets them observe this guy's surgery. Is it that powerful? Sign in Naruto. Make you stronger, not let you beat the ninja world. Gao Wu, are you saying that my students are useless? Page 10. Tsunade-sama, I'm not questioning you. Even you can't handle a patient. How can he, a brat, do it? Yes, Tsunade-sama, junior sister Shizune is the most skilled among us. Even if she works simultaneously under your guidance, she can't save this man. Can he be more powerful than you? After hearing this, Tsunade angrily yelled, idiot, where does all this nonsense come from? Just look at it. This made several medical ninjas even more unhappy. Looking at Yi Jian, he was filled with disapproval. How powerful could a teenage kid be? What can you learn from watching his surgery? You seem to be underestimated. After listening to these people's words, Yi Jian couldn't help but shake his head, and after using the medical detection technique to sense the injury, he started. The flesh was cut open and anesthetic was injected. To the surprise of the medical ninjas who were watching, there was no bleeding after the wound was opened. This is something they absolutely cannot do. Cut away the carrion, remove excess bone fragments from the wound, and rotten hamstrings. The break is very serious. Yi Jian skillfully found the hamstring among the blood vessels. The two ends are a pair, and there is a difference of nearly 10 centimeters in the middle. This is beyond the limits of the hamstring extension suture. No wonder Shizune couldn't complete the surgery even under Tsunade-sensei's guidance. With this secret thought in his mind, he saw him cut off a small piece of complete hamstring. When the medical ninjas saw this scene, they couldn't help but laugh. That's it. It's just a little more powerful than the way they cut wounds. The rest of the place looks pretty good. What Yi Jian can do, they can do too. Moreover, they did not understand the significance of Yi Jian's hamstring removal. Could he still be able to reshape it? Yi Jian turned a deaf ear to their words. After quickly forming seals with his hands, a burst of green chakra appeared in his hands, creation of the palm immortal. Next moment, something amazing happened. Under the shocked gaze of the medical ninja, the hamstring began to slowly extend forward. Finally, just enough to sew. All the medical ninjas were confused. What happened just now? It seems like a very advanced medical ninjutsu. You are so young, but you have such strong medical ninjutsu skills. A monster. The hamstring is sutured, and the related ligaments, muscles, and blood vessels with the trauma are also repaired one by one. It seems like he was a little poisoned. When Yi Jian was about to suture the wound, he suddenly sensed a new situation, and green light appeared in his hand again. The injured person who was unconscious suddenly frowned, as if he was suffering from some pain. But this move shocked the medical ninjas present. The art of extracting minor troubles. Oh my god, why can he use such advanced ninjutsu so casually? Who the hell is he? They saw drops of black poisonous blood being drawn out from the wound. The injured man's originally pale face immediately turned red. Yi Jian didn't stop until the drawn blood started to turn red. Then he quickly sewed up the wound, and green light emitted from his hand again, with strong vitality, which made these medical ninjas exclaim, "Palm immortal technique." This is even more difficult than the technique of extracting minor troubles just now. They consider themselves elites, but so far they have only scratched the surface. But Yi Jian actually used it so casually. Oh my god, what kind of genius is this? It's so awesome. As expected of you, boy, your medical ninjutsu has improved a lot. When you went to the front line, you were not so skilled. Seeing Yi Jian finish it easily, even Tsunade couldn't help but praise. After 1 or 2 years on the front line, if you don't make any progress, wouldn't it be a disgrace to Tsunade-sensei? Yi Jian smiled, as if it should be so. At this time, someone finally recognized Habama and exclaimed, "Are you Nora Habama?" That Nora Habama who is known as Konaha's medical genius on the Sunagaku front line. As soon as these words came out, the others were shocked. What, it's him. Seeing them like this, little Shizune on the side couldn't help but said speechlessly, "Otherwise you think Tsunade-sama is joking with you. Just find someone to let you study." Everyone felt ashamed. How long do you plan to stay when you come back this time? Tsunade looked at Hajime who was washing his hands and said while suppressing the discomfort caused by the blood. "I don't know either. I just received a secret mission." Habarama quickly wiped his hands and ruffled the hair of Shizune, who was a head shorter than him, causing her considerable dissatisfaction. "You really don't know what you think. You are a medical genius, but you yearn for fighting. Don't let me end up like me." Speaking of this, Tsunade's expression darkened. As one of the dignified Sannin, Konoha's leading medical ninja. Nowadays, because of the fear of blood, he can only take a back seat as a professor and student, but his abilities are useless. How sad. Tsunade-sensei, what do you think of the title, Konoha Cold Light? Yi Jian avoided the topic and pretended to show off. "Hey, I didn't embarrass you." Tsunade nodded upon hearing this, and then hit him hard on the head. "Kid, we're still far away. On the other hand, your healing potions and healing pills are not bad. You have stayed on the front line for more than a year. Your current achievements are no less than mine. Aren't you afraid of the old man's objection if you call me that again? According to your seniority, you should call me senior sister." Hearing this, Yi Jian smiled. "Without Tsunade-sensei who taught me medical ninjutsu and led me on this path, how could I be where I am today? Teacher, this is what you should say. As for the third generation, let's just talk about our own affairs and there will be no conflict." When Tsunade heard this, she couldn't help rolling her eyes. "It's you who is naughty. Are these medical ninjas next to them directly petrified? What? Yi Jian actually became the apprentice of the third Hokage. Hey, isn't this identity a bit scary? But if he calls him Tsunade-sensei, wouldn't that mess with the seniority?" "Oh, right." Yi Jian suddenly seemed to have thought of something. "I have just been appointed as teacher Tsunade's deputy and serve as the deputy chairperson of the medical team. Please give me your advice in the future. Got it. As soon as these words came out, these people were immediately petrified. Good guy. I thought it was someone who came to visit, but it turned out to be their immediate boss. Don't dare. When they thought about the rudeness just now, they all felt guilty. You won't be resented, right? Tsunade was not surprised at all by this, and Yijien asked in a low voice, Tsunade-sensei, is it you who made this suggestion? He believes, if it were the third Hokage, he would never have been given such an important position because of the healing potions and healing pills he contributed. Only if Tsunade takes action can the third Hokage consider this matter. This has nothing to do with the third Hokage's ambition, but only to do with the balance of power as Hokage. Tsunade hummed, but I didn't propose that you become my junior brother. Really, the old man is getting more and more timid as he gets older. He wants to capture any slightly powerful ninja, as if he wants to compete with him as a disciple. Okay, go and do your business, I still have to teach these idiots. Tsunade immediately issued an expulsion order, and Yijien had no choice but to bow to Tsunade and leave. But at this moment, the outside world has already turned upside down. What? The hero Chikura is the medical genius Noragama? No, this is actually a person. My eyes were stunned. The ninjas who retreated from the front line of Sunagakur village all looked in disbelief. And the ninjas in the village are even more confused. A medical ninja, but so powerful. And let no one live. Any genius would be eclipsed in front of him. But what's more surprising than this is Yijien's new identity. Vice chairman of the Konaha medical team, everyone can still accept this. But disciples of the third Hokage, hey, isn't this a little scary? Does the third Hokage think that the child Noragama can become a being like the Sannin? Now, Naruto office. Sarutobi, are you playing with me? You actually implemented the matter of recruiting a disciple of the Hokage without the advice of our advisors. Moreover, we clearly agreed in advance to grant Nora Hazama the position of deputy chairman of the medical team. Danzo Shimura came to the third Hokage angrily and asked loudly. The reason why he agreed to grant Yijien the position of deputy medical chair was because he had a deal with the third generation. Positions can be given, but people must join his root organization. His root tissue is in desperate need of a powerful medical ninja. In this way, the progress of their forbidden human experiments can be progressed faster. As for Yijien being disobedient after entering, is it possible? He has many ways to make Yijien obedient. Why did he push for Orochimaru to take over the front line of Sunagakur village? Obviously Jiraiya is the same and can achieve the final victory. Isn't it just that for a final war like this, there are enough corpses to study? In this way, his research can yield results as soon as possible. Furthermore, Danzo was unwilling to be just a consultant and wanted to push Orochimaru to the position of Hokage. And this war is one of Orochimaru's important assets in competing for Hokage. When Orochimaru comes to power, with the root tissue and research results in his hands, he will become the real Hokage of Konoha. Even if there is Sarutobi Hiruzen blocking it, it won't do any harm. He can freely transform Konoha according to his ideas. But now, however, Sarutobi Hiruzen immediately went back on his word and made Hazama his apprentice. Without Nora Habama joining in, he and Orochimaru's research really doesn't know how long it will take to come to a conclusion. If someone discovers any clues during this, everything will be over. Therefore, how could Danzo be willing to do so? Yes, Danzo is right. Hiruzen, what do you think? You should inform us of such an important matter. Mito Minyan also arrived soon after, somewhat dissatisfied. Behind him, another Hokage consultant, Kaharu, did the same. But they think differently from Danzo. They simply felt that it was a bit disrespectful for Sandai to accept a disciple without consulting their advisors. The three Hokage advisors who met came. The third Hokage seemed to have been prepared for it. He said with a smile, Danzo, you are still so impulsive. Then he looked at Mito Kadoyan and Kaharu, and said, I accept Nora Habama as my disciple, naturally to make Konoha stronger and create a powerful fighting force. We can't let him do weird research and waste his talents. While saying this, the third Hokage glanced at Danzo who was standing aside, and said with a faint smile, You think so, Danzo? Upon hearing these words, Danzo's face suddenly turned dark. What is this called? A naked threat. But he still had to swallow a bitter pill. Because his research must never be made public. Should such talents be valued and cultivated well, even if they cannot reach the level of Sanin, with Hokage's talent, his future achievements will not be much worse. Is such a talent good for my future Konaha? The mainstay. Seeing that Danzo didn't speak, the third Hokage looked at Mito Kadobu again. We are all old, especially me, really old. It's time to hand over the burden to the young people. I plan to abdicate and give way to others after Konaha is stable. Konaha also needs a new Hokage. Mito Kadoyan frowned slightly when he heard this. Then you mean to ask Noragama? The third Hokage suddenly laughed after hearing this. Menyan, how is that possible? Even if he has the ability, qualifications, and age, he is not enough. But the 5th generation and even the 6th generation are not bad, right? Hearing this, Mito Menyan and Kaharu, who was sleeping behind him, couldn't help but nodded. Thinking about it this way, it was quite reasonable. If you want to be Hokage, you must be a member of the Hokage lineage to be qualified. And since Nora Hazama now holds an important position, he obviously cannot be allowed to become the disciple of any of the Sanin. Otherwise, a power imbalance will inevitably result. Therefore, the third Hokage could only take action personally and accept him as his disciple. Okay, Hiruzen, if you had said so earlier, it would have been fine. Mito Kaden and Kaharu turned around and left, not forgetting to take Shimura Danzo with them before leaving. For Danzo, whether it was him, Kaharu who had transferred to bed, or the third Hokage, they were all on guard. No one would let down their guard against a person with huge underground power. Even if this person is their comrade who has been through life and death. Did you fail? Haha, Danzo, this is a matter of course. In the root tissue, a man with sickly white skin said in a low voice. He has a pair of long golden snake eyes and purple eye shadow extending to the wings of his nose, exuding a cold and murderous aura. Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas. Humph. After hearing these words, Danzo, who had just returned from the defeat, snorted in displeasure. After all, that is Sarutobi-sensei, the Hokage who has been in charge of Konoha for so many years. He is the only spokesperson of Konoha. Danzo became even more unhappy after hearing Orochimaru's words. Orochimaru, is this your attitude towards cooperating with me? Orochimaru grinned again. I'm just telling you, strike faster next time, after all, your opponent is the Hokage. After speaking, he left. Congratulations on becoming the deputy medical chair, Yi-Jian, but my hunch was indeed right, you are really Chikura. Although he was born as an orphan, he has a small house in Konoha because of his outstanding medical skills and the fact that he was taught medical ninjutsu by Tsunade. It's also very close to Hitaki's old house. I wonder if some people did it intentionally. Ha ha ha, I'm sorry, I had no choice but to disguise my identity. Don't be surprised. Yi-Jian happily welcomed Kakashi in. Then I saw Shiranui Genma, Metkai and the others also coming. So they were all welcomed in together. Let me just say, that Chenkora looks so similar to you, he must have something to do with you. I thought he was your brother at first, but I didn't expect it to be you. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.